Yeah, 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 yeah. Shake it, but keep pointing out all the lies. Putting the scripture right in your eye. The Bible guy. He reads Hebrew and Greek and shows you that your book's not unique. The Bible guy. He turns through the pages until every Christian rages. The Bible guy. Watch one time and you're hooked. Now let's watch why the Christians get cooked. The Bible guy.
Hey, everybody, this is the Bible Guy coming at you live from Northeast Texas. I took 3 days off to do a little bit of editorial work, but we're back, and I miss you all so dearly. I thought I needed the time off. Turns out that if I'm not doing these shows every other day, I get extremely bored. But I am doing some editing work on the side. And I'm trying to push out a lot more work so that I can save up more money for something special for the show. But we'll cross that bridge when it gets there. So everyone, make sure you are tapping that screen, sharing the live with those you love and those you hate, with your friends and with your enemies. Let's get the word out there and have some interesting conversations, and see if anyone can convince me otherwise of the 6 points on the board. Greetings from howdy from Southeast Texas. Greetings from North Central Texas. Look at all these my fellow Texans. How is the Bible not inspired? Well, Michael Joseph, you're more than welcome to request up and ask those questions, and we can have a conversation about that. John says, hello, heretics and heathens. Well, hello, John. Good to see you too. All right, we're going to bring our first guest on the line for the day. We got Michael Joseph. Michael, I'm going to ask you the same preliminary questions that I ask every one of my guests, irrespective of who they are. Question number 1, are you at least 18 years old? Oh, I don't know where Michael went. Michael, maybe you need to request back up because you disappeared on me. All right. Oh, well. Hey, Dalton, perhaps pull your mic a bit closer. It's sensitive when you move your head away. Oh, here, wait a minute. Also, my mic was also just turned down because I was guesting on it last night on. Michael, you keep disappearing. You were in the guest box, and then you disappeared again. Hopefully, this is a bit better as far as the volume is concerned, everyone. Hello from New Mexico, says Atheist Gamer. Hey, Atheist Gamer, I used to live in New Mexico. All right. Michael, welcome to the live. Michael, I'm going to ask you some preliminary questions before we get started with the conversation. Question number 1, are you at least 18 years old?
Yes.
Question number 2, are you a Bible believer?
Yes.
Question number 3, how much of the Bible have you read?
All of it.
All right, and then question number 4, what are your pronouns?
He, him.
All right, Michael, he, him. I'm Dalton, the Bible guy. You wanted to talk about why you think the Bible is inspired?
No. I just have a question. I just have a question. Do you mean divinely inspired or just inspired?
Divinely inspired.
Because it should say divinely inspired. Okay, it should say divinely inspired.
Oh, I mean,
be more specific.
Well, I think
because that's confusing.
It's not that confusing.
No, don't assume people know because they don't. So
most
be
people,
more specific.
Most people know in the Christian community when we say the Bible is inspired, Christians understand that to mean inspired by God. We never talk about inspiration of Scripture.
Be more specific with your words.
It's not necessary.
So be more precise in your words.
So is this just you coming up to? Oh no, I don't care. Anyways, no, not going to change it. The Bible's not inspired, and people with brains know exactly what that means. If you have a problem with it, Michael Joseph, go start your own show and then put the Bible is not divinely inspired. But most people with brains know exactly what we mean by the Bible is not inspired. All right. IDEK Witty is going to be our next guest. Witty, I'm going to ask you the same four preliminary questions to ask every one of my guests, irrespective of who they are. Question number 1, are you at least 18 years old?
Yes, sir.
Question number 2, are you a Bible believer?
I am.
Question number 3, how much of the Bible have you read?
Quite a bit of it.
All right, and then final question, what pronouns do you prefer to go by?
That guy. I'm just kidding. He, him is fine.
He, him. Witty, he, him. I'm Dalton, the Bible guy. Which one of the 6 points on the board did you want to discuss with me?
I was just curious to get your thoughts on number 6. I mean, I was just curious what your take on it was. Why do you think it's not a good source for morals?
Because I don't think misogyny and slavery are morally upright.
Okay. What verses are you referring to?
For misogyny or for slavery?
Both, please.
Well, there's multiple verses, but if we want to start with one, Exodus chapter 20, verse 17 in the 10 Commandments lists off a man's woman, his wife, as one of the many pieces of property that belong to him. I don't think that's very, egalitarian.
I get that, but also in the same breath, doesn't it also make comparisons all throughout the Bible? And this is just, again, somebody that is not well studied, decently studied, I would say. Isn't there many comparisons about men giving up themselves for their wives and being made one?
Being made one in the idea that they have sex in there and they become one, but throughout the Hebrew Bible explicitly, I mean the Hebrew word for husband in Hebrew is actually the word Baal, which means master. The closest you get to something that sounds egalitarian is that husbands ought to love their wives like Christ loved the church, but at the same time, the church is the slave of Jesus Christ. And Jesus is able to punish the church in order to reprimand them. So taken to the logical conclusion, the husbands treating their wives like Jesus treats the church would not be very good for them.
See, but now that is where I personally would disagree. To take authority over anything, you have to also take the repercussions and the disciplinary
Husbands
figure.
husbands shouldn't be disciplinary figures over their wives and shouldn't be over their wives. It should be an equal partnership. The former is very unhealthy.
But I would make the same case, right? Women also have the authority to call out and check their husbands.
Where is that in the Bible? I agree, women should be calling out their partners, whether it's their wives or their husbands. But the Bible doesn't seem to give a shit about that. The Bible is not written for a woman audience primarily. It's written for a man audience, and men in the Bible have a position over the woman, and we never hear of women having positions over men in the Bible.
Didn't Paul appoint a woman to be a teacher? Or am I misquoting this? I'm almost fairly certain Paul appointed a woman to be a teacher.
We're referring to within a marriage framework where a man and a wife come together and they are married and whatnot. In these situations, women are never given any authority over a male.
I would have to do more research to give you a more scholarly answer. At this point, I actually don't have one.
All right. Well, then slavery. According to the Hebrew Bible, you're allowed to own slaves. You're allowed to beat them so long as they don't die in 2-3 days. And if they're not Hebrew slaves, you can own them for life and pass them on to your kids.
This is all Old Testament, correct?
Well, Jesus, it never gets redacted in the New Testament, and Jesus affirms the law of Moses, and Paul affirms it as being holy, just, and good.
I would have to do more research into it. Do you have verses that I could look up? I don't want to give an answer that's half-baked and that I can't support with other scripture.
Yeah, Leviticus chapter 25. Here, let me pull it up on the screen for everyone to read. Here we go. Leviticus chapter 25, verse 44. As for the male and female slaves whom you may have, it is from the nations around you that you may acquire male and female slaves. You may also acquire them from among the aliens residing with you and from their families who are with you, who have been born in your land. They may be your property. You may keep them as a possession for your children after you, for them to inherit as property. These you may treat as slaves, but as for your fellow Israelites, no one shall rule over the other with harshness.
And I get that, right? So the only other thing, and this is just based off a quick Google search, there's many verses in the Bible that talk about not kidnapping and not stealing people. And it also says verses like, "Remember when you were enslaved in Egypt."
Yeah,
So my only contention to that, and this is again without actually deeply studying into it, the Bible is aware of the wickedness of man, and especially at the point in time in which it was written and these things were taking place, slaves were a very, very common thing.
So while kidnapping like a free man on the street would be illegal within not only just the Hebrew Bible, but this was also outlawed in Roman law. If you were to buy a slave, this is completely legal. Or if you were to go to war with another people group and then you take those captives from the war as slaves, that's also permitted. While it's not allowed to kidnap a free person who you're not at war with, every other form of slavery is allowed in the Hebrew Bible.
But again, this is all Old Testament,
Well,
right? And
let's see what
again,
Jesus
sir, I
said
would have
about the
to-
law. Let's see what Jesus said about the law of Moses. Matthew chapter 5, verses 17 through 19. Do not think that I've come to abolish the law or the prophets. I have not come to abolish, but to fulfill. For truly I tell you, until heaven and earth pass away, which it hasn't, not one letter, nor one stroke of a letter will pass from the law until all is accomplished. All is not yet accomplished. There are many prophecies that have not been fulfilled. Actually, I would say all prophecies have not been fulfilled, but you get the idea. Therefore, whoever breaks one of the least of these commandments, which would include the laws of slavery, and teaches others to do the same will be called least in the kingdom of heaven. But whoever does them and teaches them will be called great in the kingdom of heaven. That was Jesus' position on the law of Moses.
So let me ask you a question, if you wouldn't mind. Do you think the law is the word of God?
I don't believe there is such a thing as the word of God, because I don't think any bit of scripture is the word of God. Did Jesus think the law was the word of God? Yes, he would have thought it was the word of God.
Okay, good. The next question in that instance, and I'm going to try and tie this full circle here. So, like, I'm sure you know, right? We as Christians believe that Jesus came with a new way, like a new path, in its entirety, in its fullness, right? Because there's also many things in the old law about, there's an adulterer, stone him to death, stone the woman, the man, and the witness, or get the witness present.
Where did Jesus, because I know you believe that, but you don't believe that because of Jesus. You believe that because of Paul. Paul taught something very different from Jesus. Can you show me where Jesus taught that you are no longer obligated to observe the law of Moses?
He never said that you weren't obligated to observe the law. He just showed that there was that it was not always so black and white, right? Much like eating or working on the day of the Sabbath, or whenever they go to stone the adulterous woman, and he tells them not to.
The pericope adultery found in John chapter 8 isn't original to the Gospel of John. You know, it's an addition, right?
Which I would still believe to be correct.
Well, no, it's not correct.
But are we
it's not
validity, or just it's not the story itself?
It's not a true story. Jesus never did these things. If we go to John chapter 8, we don't have any manuscripts containing the pericope adultery prior to the 4th century CE. The first 300 years of Christianity, the pericope adultery story is fiction. It's not real. It's not included in the Gospels. It's a later addition. Jesus never did or said anything in John chapter 8, the pericope adultery.
So there's many things in the Bible that didn't circulate until 300 to 400 years afterwards.
We don't-
They were still openly killing people.
No, yeah, well, it doesn't matter. We don't have a single manuscript of the Gospel of John prior to the 4th century that contains the story of the adulterous woman. Jesus did not withhold stoning an adulterous woman. Never happened.
But again, that's your belief, sir. That's not mine.
No, it's not.
Right?
It's not my belief. It's the facts. Can you point me to a manuscript prior to the 4th century that contains the story of the adulterous woman? I just showed you.
So I'll put it.
The data.
No, and sir, it could have been from 400 years past what you were saying, and I would still believe it if it went through the same scrutiny that it went through the first round.
No.
To get to being a permanent establishment?
No, it just means that it was added by a scribe. That's how. I don't know if you know how like how scholarship works in regards to like manuscripts and whatnot. But if we don't have a certain segment of the Bible included in a section of the Bible until hundreds of years after the texts were written, that tells us that it was an addition made by a scribe. It's not something that John wrote, or John. It's not something that John wrote. This is the consensus
So they don't add
of the
anything
scholarship
to the Bible without councils and many people agreeing. It would not be a standardized part of the Bible if it wasn't agreed upon by countless.
Council, later Catholic councils agreeing what should and shouldn't be in the Bible doesn't tell me what is original to the Bible. They are the individuals who were responsible for later church councils were not more knowledgeable on textual criticism of the Bible than modern scholars are. They didn't have all of the data.
I agree, but at the same time, so like there's other verses that weren't initially canon or written down that we have no manuscripts of, which I still hold to be true because there's other. I'm sure if I looked into this, there would be other evidence pointing to.
I guess I guess I can just include the whole Book of Mormon then, because if we can just add things willy nilly, even though they're not original, then why not just I could write my own version of the Bible where I say Jesus like to get back shots from Judas Iscariot, and it's fine because it doesn't matter if there's no original manuscripts, because we can just add things to the Bible.
You would hold it. So you would hold it in reference to the complete text of the Bible, and if it doesn't stand up, it doesn't.
There is no such thing as the complete text of the Bible. There's really no such thing as the Bible. There are Bibles, many variations, and different versions of it, but there's no set canon. There's no official record of what is and isn't part of the Bible. There's just different churches that have different books and different variations of books. But if we want to know what the original authors wrote, the best way of doing that is by evaluating the manuscript evidence.
But again, so and here's just something I would also be curious to get your take on while we're talking about manuscripts, right? I think it's Mark, if I'm not mistaken, it's Mark 16, 9 through 20. It's the back half of one of the Bible chapters. They say it's not original.
It's not. It's an addition.
Okay, but
Mark didn't write that.
So do you know why it was added, right? This is one of the ones that I actually did a little bit of research into.
Yeah, I'm sure there are plenty of theological backings and reasons for why they added a whole new section to the Gospel of Mark. But again, it's an addition. I don't care what the theological reasons are for adding to the Gospel of Mark. I only care about what is original to the Gospel of Mark, and that section of Mark isn't.
No, so that's what I'm trying to say, right? There were different church fathers in different places in different centuries, from the 2nd century to the 3rd century, that had never met each other, that were still referencing the same passages that would inevitably get added on later. So how are they referencing the same thing?
They're referencing a tradition, but show me some manuscriptal evidence of this section of scripture prior to, in this case, it's also the 4th century. Show me some evidence, manuscript-wise, of this section of the Gospel of Mark included in the Gospel of Mark, and not just as a tradition circulating among the church fathers.
But again, how could a tradition be circular? That's a Jewish custom at the time, was vocal, oral tradition and recitation, right? So,
No.
like, you have, I believe it's Irenaeus or whatever his name was, the
No.
church father speaking about
No,
it.
you're incorrect.
And then,
You're incorrect. It's not how oral tradition works within Judaism. They didn't just have whole books memorized that weren't written down. Everything that they were memorizing, they had like an actual, like, for example, when they memorized the 5 books of Moses, they had a written copy of the 5 books of Moses to reference. So if there are church fathers who are memorizing some oral tradition regarding Mark chapter 16 verses 19 through 20, I'm going to need to see the manuscript that they're pointing to, to remember this section from.
I would have to look into it further. I know that the strongest evidence I was able to find was that you had church fathers in different locations speaking on it. These men had never met, to the best of my knowledge.
So slavery and misogyny, do you think these are good moral things?
No, sir.
All right. The Bible supports them, so the Bible's not a good source for morals.
I mean, how many Christians do you know as slaves? That would be my contention.
Well,
if what you're saying is true, if the Bible...
well, slavery is not legal in the United States, so none. Although if you went back about 150 years ago, there were lots of Christians who owned slaves. Pretty much all slave owners in the United States and the South were Christian, and they used the Bible to support their slave owning. Now, I didn't ask whether or not Christians could be moral. I asked whether or not the Bible itself is a good source for morals.
Yeah, and so, like, again, I personally disagree. I think the Bible has many very good, like, human standard morals that it tries to impart upon its believers.
Yeah, like how to own your slaves, right?
Again, you would have to show me a large group of Christians in our world as we know it right now.
I don't care whether or not Christians today, because Christians don't do what the Bible says. I don't know if you're not aware of this. Christians don't do what's in the Bible. So Christians not owning slaves doesn't tell me whether or not the Bible is a good source for morals. It only tells me that Christians have moved past the barbaric standard of the Bible and have become more humanistic.
So again, like, I agree with you on the point that Christians don't do what the Bible says. I don't believe that most people who call themselves Christians actually are Christians. My contention.
No true Scotsman. Right, gotcha.
What is that? I don't know what that means.
It's like all those other people who aren't doing the things that I like, they're actually not part of my group. They're not true Christians. You know, it's nonsense. It's like the man. It's like a man walks into a bar, and he says, "No true Scotsman eats porridge." And the Scotsman next to him says, "Well, I'm eating porridge." He goes, "Well, you're not a true Scotsman." Well, it's nonsense. No, these are Christians. You're not the barrier for what is and isn't a true Christian. I'm not
saying that at all.
And if Christians aren't owning slaves, then I would say, yeah, they're not obeying the Bible. Then therefore, you as not doing what the Bible says in regards to slavery, you are less Christian than the one who 100 years ago was okay with owning slaves.
So again, I'm not saying this like I have some moral superiority to other people. I'm saying that the same people who claim Christianity because they grew up in it and that just live a life unlike any of their other non-Christian friends, these are the people that I would call
here.
Like, just
maybe I need to say it more clearly, because you don't seem to be understanding what I'm saying. I don't give a shit what Christians are doing. The question is not can Christians be moral? The question is the Bible a good source for morals? It's one thing if the Christians aren't following what the Bible says. I applaud that because slavery sucks. But the question is the Bible a good source for morals? And since the Bible allows for slavery, you haven't been able to refute this, then I'm going to say that the Bible isn't a good source for morals.
I respect your opinion. Thank you for your time. I feel like we will continue to go in circles.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to point out what the Bible says, and you're just going to say Christians don't do what the Bible says, and I already agree with that. So, but you're not engaging with what the Bible actually says.
Very well. I will look into it, and I'll come back. I thank you for your time.
All right. Have a good day.
You too.
Gee whiz. All right, I'm going to read some super chats, and then we'll bring up fucking Kaino in the in the guest box. Oh, I forgot to open up the freaking Video Ninja for anyone who's in the YouTube. 1 second. Video Ninja. Hopefully we'll get some guests from YouTube today. All right. Our first super chat for the day.
At Space Lord of 75 with the $4.99. Jesus wouldn't use slaves in his parables without commenting on the moral evil if he thought it was wrong.
That's an excellent point. Jesus makes references to slaves all the time in his parables. Never once does he ever comment that slavery is wrong in any way. He just accepts slavery as a given fact about the way that about the way his culture worked. This is true. Good point. Love that.
At House 70 with the $5. Slavery was not only not rejected by Jesus, but a fake Paul didn't protest it either. Correct me if I'm wrong. Point 6 is still valid.
Yeah, Paul never protested against slavery either. Paul also just assumes that slavery is a given fact about the world. The only time he ever had any problem with slavery is when his friend Philemon was a slave, but otherwise he said that slaves should obey their masters. So, and then one last super chat before we move on to the next guest.
At Carlos Valdez with the 10 The Bible Guy gift memberships. W. Carlos Valdez.
Love that. All right. We're going to bring up, fucking Noah was in the box, but they're not anymore. So I guess I'll bring up Bleach number 1. Bleach. I'm going to ask you the same. Oh, where'd they go? They also disappeared. What's with all the people disappearing today? Not wanting to participate much? And something is going on with my Video Ninja as well. Completely separate problem altogether. Yes, reload this site. Come on. Schrodinger's guest. Yes, the guest that is both in the box and not in the box. Oh, that shit's funny. Do you engage in formal debate or only debates on your show? No, I don't engage in formal debates. I don't even like watching formal debates. They're boring as hell. The Bible doesn't teach morals. It teaches obedience. Yeah, obedience to some really nasty shit. I agree. 100%. The whole Bible is about divine command theory. You do something not because it's moral and good, but because God said so. And what God says is by definition good according to the Hebrew Bible, which sucks.
At Chip Payet with the $4.99. This caller knows literally nothing about how the Bible formed, and he'll believe anything as long as it's in the Bible. Rock hard for Doug and sinfully wet for Sharon.
That's true. He didn't seem to know very much about how the Bible is formed. Most Christians don't. Most Christians have a very strange outlook on how the Bible is formed. Will you be live on my birthday tomorrow? I will not be live tomorrow, Brianna, but Justin Deconstruction will be live tomorrow for your birthday. But congratulations on making another year around the sun. Hey, Justin, how you doing? Yep, Justin confirmed. He will be live tomorrow, so there you go, everyone. David Hara says, it's actually a shame that people believe in such nonsense. Listen, humanity is still just barely out of its diapers. We're just still like outgrowing the nonsense that our ancestors believed in. We're in the growing pains right now. I have a feeling that we're like, humanity is like a 6-year-old, like now just learning that Santa Claus isn't real and wrestling with it. I'm very hopeful that in the future, maybe not in our lifetimes, probably not in our lifetimes, humanity will outgrow the need to believe in gods and spirits and stuff like that. So it's all a matter of time. Now it doesn't look like I got anyone in my guest box. Okay, just making sure. Yeah. So everyone, if you are on TikTok and you want to come up and have a conversation with me, get into the box. And if you at the Bible Guy, it won't let me request. Well, then I will request you up. Am I able to do that? Reply. Well, for some reason, I'm not allowed to do that. But I don't see why. Here, one of my friendlies. See if you're able to request up right now. See if it's just Bleach. We got Jason Debateman. Jason, are you one of my friendlies? Yeah, you are probably. Yeah,
I am. I was able to request.
You're able to request. So, Bleach. Okay, good. Bleach is up now. Okay, thank you for that, Jason Debateman. I fucking love that name. Okay, Bleach. I'm gonna ask you the same 4 preliminary questions I ask every one of my guests, irrespective of who they are. Question number 1: are you at least 18 years old?
Mm-hmm.
Question number 2: are you a Bible believer?
Mm-hmm.
Question number 3: how much of the Bible have you read?
All of it.
And then final question: what pronouns do you prefer to go by?
He, him.
All right, Bleach, he, him. I'm Dalton, the Bible Guy. Which one of the 6 topics on the board did you want to discuss with me?
So, forgive me if I speak a little. I'm sick and it's cold out here. I wanted to talk about theism. You are an atheist, right? Because I could argue about Christianity, and usually I do argue inductively. Belief in the death and resurrection of Jesus Christ is the.
Yeah, you have to pick one of the. You have to pick one of the 6 topics on the board.
I'll pick one of the 6 topics on the board, but I'm prefacing by saying it would be kind of strange to talk about that before talking about how you reject the entire category in general.
Well, no, even if I believed in God, I would still think that all of this is like, I would still hold to all 60 of these points. So that is irrelevant.
Okay, so when you say Jesus was not God, I can probably go with that. So what are you saying when you say that?
Both that in real life Jesus of Nazareth wasn't God, and also the New Testament doesn't really present him as being Yahweh.
Okay, that's where I would disagree. Yeah. There's countless passages where Jesus directly states that he is the figure in Daniel 7 who is the second person of the Godhead.
Well, Daniel 7 never says anything about a second person of the Godhead, so that's a problem. Even if Jesus identified him as the Son of Man figure, it doesn't. It says there's one like a Son of Man who comes on the cloud of heaven, and he comes to the Ancient of Days. And it says that all nations will bow down and worship him, which is pretty much what it says about all the kings of Israel. So nowhere in Daniel 7 is it ever identified.
Whoa. That's not what it says about all the kings of Israel. Not all the kings of Israel come down on the clouds of heaven. Actually, the only king that's stated in the Old Testament that come down on the clouds of heaven is Yahweh.
Well, I don't think that the coming down on the clouds of heaven is literal. Don't forget that the book of Daniel chapter 7 is filled with symbolic imagery, unless you also believe that there literally will be 4 large beasts coming out of the waters, and one of them being a leopard with 4 heads and 4 wings.
Well, again, you're just presenting your position. This is why I said before we even got into any of these topics, you reject the entire category in general. So
I don't.
When I talk about the interpretation,
even if I believed in God, I would still hold to this position.
Can I finish though?
Sure. Go ahead and make your fallacy.
What I'm saying is, you're. It's not a fallacy. Your presumption of literalism or non-literalism
Nope.
isn't really found. You don't have a proper methodology. So when I have to,
not my,
so,
not
so
my
I ask
position.
you
Not
a
my
question
position.
about Daniel.
Not
Wait,
my
wait,
position. Not my
Can I-
position. I don't hold to a
Okay,
literal
okay, so-
reading
so
of
to
the
clarify.
Bible.
I said you're looking at it as a strict either or. I didn't say you were a biblical literalist. You literally just said that you don't take these things literally. Listen to what I'm saying. I'm telling you that if I ask you a question about the interpretation of Daniel 7, you're gonna run back to just stating your position earlier, which is that you don't take these things literally. Otherwise, you're gonna believe in four-headed creatures also coming out of the ground or whatever.
Yeah, I'm going to.
So that's kind of
yes.
tricky.
When I read the book of Daniel, I take into consider the historical and literary context of the book in order to best understand what it is that Daniel is writing.
No, you don't, because you said that the figure, the coming on the clouds, and the king that refers to that refers to the kings of Israel. No, it doesn't. So
Well,
you
no,
don't take that into context.
if it's referring to the Messiah, who's
If
the
you
king
took it
of,
into context,
if it's
the only
referring
person
to
would be
if it's
Yahweh.
referring to the Messiah, who is like, you know, that's what the New Testament says, the Son of Man is the Messiah figure. If it's the Messiah who's the one like a Son of Man, then there's nothing wrong with everyone bowing down and worshiping him, because the Messiah is meant to be the King of Israel, and people are supposed to bow down and worship the King of Israel, whether that's the Messiah or
Again,
David
you're
or
just stating your
Solomon.
position.
I could demonstrate that
I
you
would
are
like to see.
allowed. You're allowed to bow down to the kings of Israel. Let's take a look. First Chronicles.
Not that you're allowed to bow down to the kings of Israel, but that everybody on earth through the Messiah figure will bow down to him and
Well-
confess certain things about him. And the coming on the clouds is an important part, because, like I said earlier, if you just want to state your position over and over again, well, I'll state mine again. That Yahweh's the only person depicted as a king that comes on the clouds.
Well, no, he's not, because the one like the Son of Man is able to come on the clouds, and you've yet to give me a reason
That's
to think
begging
that
the
one
question. That's what's in
Well,
question.
no, you're begging the question. I don't just assume that because it says, because guess what? In ancient literature, coming on the clouds of heaven was just like a common way to refer to like great magnificent figures, whether that's Baal, Yahweh, or in this case, the one like a Son of Man. I would need something a bit more to indicate that the one like a Son of Man is intended to be like Yahweh himself.
Again, that's what's in question, is whether or not the Son of Man has a reference to only Yahweh. So you can't use the Son of Man as an example. When you're saying it's referring to any of the other kings of Israel, can you give an example or demonstrate that any other kings of Israel were presented as coming on the clouds of heaven in the day of judgment?
I can say that the kings of Israel sat on the throne of Yahweh and were worshipped by the people. Solomon sat on the throne of Yahweh and was worshipped. Is he Yahweh?
No, he didn't.
Yeah,
Solomon didn't come down from heaven.
Well, no, Solomon
If
sat.
you're referring to like
Solomon
if you're
Solomon
referring
sat.
to the earthly throne, then
No.
then
It
yes.
says.
Wait. If you're referring to the earthly throne,
Does the book of First Chronicles refer to Solomon's throne as the throne of Yahweh?
because it's the throne of Jesus. I mean,
No,
are you
no.
affirming my position?
No. First Chronicles chapter 21, Old Testament, refers to the throne that Solomon sits on as being the throne of Yahweh.
Again, you're only saying, like, you're acting like there's only one throne. I'm saying that there's two thrones. There's a heavenly throne.
I never
there's an
claimed that
earthly
there's
throne.
only. I never claimed there's only one throne. I'm just claiming that the throne that the king of Israel sits on is the throne of Yahweh.
Okay, so you're not. So just to be clear, you're not positing either or. You're not positing that there's one throne. You're not positing that there's two thrones.
No, there's more than one throne. There's a throne that Yahweh
Okay,
sits
and
on
what
in
I'm saying
heaven,
is that the
and then
reference
there's
of
the throne,
that
and
Solomon
then
sits
there's the
on-
throne of Yahweh that exists on the earth that the king of Israel sits on, because the king of Israel is seen as a quasi divine being, just not Yahweh himself.
Okay, so I'm actually agreeing with you that there is an earthly throne and there is a heavenly throne.
And
What I'm saying is the figure that's depicted. Wait. The figure that's depicted in Daniel 7 comes down to the Ancient of Days on the clouds of heaven. He comes from heaven.
So
Solomon
what?
doesn't come down
Do you-
from
do
heaven.
you-
Wait. Just wait a second.
No.
Just because-
Are
just
all
because-
are
just
the,
because-
do you,
wait.
No.
Okay.
Do you believe that there is a four-headed leopard with four wings that literally comes out of the ocean? I want to gauge how much of Daniel 7 you're taking literally, because you seem to believe that, well, the Son of Man figure does actually come on the clouds of heaven, literally. So is there also a four-headed leopard with four wings that comes out of the ocean?
Yes. Now, can I finish making my point?
There's a four-headed leopard that comes out of the ocean?
Divine Revelation tells us that.
No, it doesn't. If you read the book of Daniel chapter 7, it tells you explicitly that the beasts of the earth are symbolic. These are symbols and imagery. Anyone who's read the book of Daniel,
it does.
It tells you that the four beasts of the earth represent four kings and four kingdoms.
I'm not a biblical literalist, but what I'm saying is that that's my position.
What is Daniel? What does the angel?
Why are you derailing?
What does the angel? Because you have a sincere inability to understand what the book of Daniel is saying. Apparently, what does it mean when the angel says to Daniel?
That's your position. But can I make my point?
What does it mean when the angel tells Daniel that the four beasts represent four kingdoms? What does that mean?
Can I finish making the point, and then I can answer your question?
No, you can answer my question.
Because you're derailing.
No, I'm not derailing because you seem to believe that the Son of Man figure literally comes riding in on the clouds. You don't seem to be aware of the fact that Daniel chapter 7 is filled to the brim with symbols and like prophetic imagery.
Am I lagging?
So
I think I'm lagging.
I don't think you are. Now, what does it mean when the angel says to Daniel that the four beasts represent four kingdoms?
Can you hear me? I think I cut out.
Yes,
for a second.
I've been able to hear you this whole time. What does it mean for the angel to say to Daniel that the four beasts represent four kingdoms?
Okay, the reason why I said you're derailing is because I'm not just taking it literally only the phrase on the clouds of heaven. It's the entire context. The context is Daniel.
It's not literal though. It's not literal. You need to focus on what I'm asking you, because you seem to come with this presupposition that the book of Daniel chapter 7 is literal. Everything in it's literal. So I'm asking you about the fact that in the book of Daniel chapter 7, it explicitly tells us that these things aren't literal, that they're metaphors, that they're symbols.
No, it doesn't.
Okay,
this will answer your question about the representation of the four beasts.
I'm opening up Daniel chapter 7. I'm opening up Daniel.
That's cool. Can I make my point?
No, I'm opening up Daniel chapter 7. Let's see what the angel says to Daniel. Okay. As for these four beasts, four kings shall rise out of the earth, but the Most High shall receive the kingdom and possess the kingdom forever and ever and ever. What does this mean? I thought they were animals. How are animals kings?
Can I answer?
You can answer that question, yes.
Okay, I'll answer the question, and hopefully we can get back to the original topic at hand. What I said was at the beginning that I'm not a biblical literalist. I do believe that there are passages not meant to be taken literally. However, my position on the beasts in Daniel 7 is that they're actually beasts.
But what does this mean? Okay. What does it mean? What does it mean? What does it mean for these four beasts that they are four kings that shall arise out of the earth? What does that mean?
What do you mean? Are you coming? Wait, so you're coming with the presumption that this means that the four beasts are the four kings that shall arise out of the earth?
No, I'm not making that presumption. That's what the fucking angel says to Daniel, you dimwit. What does the angel?
That's a presumption.
What? No, it's not a presumption. It's on the screen. It's on the screen. I'll read it again because you don't seem to be very good at reading. As for these four great beasts, four kings shall rise out of the earth, but the holy ones of the Most High shall receive the kingdom and possess the kingdom forever and ever. What does that mean? That these four great beasts are four great kings?
I understand that you're going to give your position on it again. I'll give my position on it again.
I know.
I said that there are four distinct kings.
I want you to
four distinct beasts. All you're doing is repeating yourself.
I don't want you to repeat yourself. I want you to tell me the meaning of Daniel 7:17.
I already said that I believe that that's not the actual meaning that you're presupposing. I said the meaning was is
Yeah.
that there are 4 distinct beasts, and it says, "As for these 4 beasts, 4 kings shall arise out of earth, but the holy ones of the Most High shall receive the kingdom and possess the kingdom forever and ever."
So are
I
these
said
beast
that these
kings?
no, there are 4 distinct beasts and 4 distinct kings. That's my position.
Hey guys,
Now, please
hey guys, when was the last time you saw a 4-headed leopard with 4 wings walking around on the water? Haven't seen that ever. Now this guest seems to be not only just like, he's not just biblically illiterate, but he's even
Can I please get back to my
he's even theologically inept. Every single Christian I've ever talked to has understood that the beasts in Daniel aren't literal beasts, that they're metaphors. Like the book of Daniel literally says that the 4 great beasts, they are 4 kings that shall arise out of the earth. This is one of the, I mean, literally. So he said he would disclose to me the interpretation of the matter. As for the 4 beasts, 4 great kings shall rise out of the earth. That's the angel telling you what the dream represents. Someone hasn't read the book of Daniel before.
Can I please now respond? I gave you my position. You're coming with the same presumption and saying this is what it says, even though that would require for you to make
It's
an
not a
interpretation.
presumption. It's not a presumption. Unlike you, I've actually read the book of Daniel. Let me give you another example. Earlier in the book of Daniel, the Pharaoh has a dream where he sees 7 sickly cows followed by 7 healthy cows. Were those literal cows?
I've let you insult me for 10 minutes, and all I'm asking
are
for
they
is to
literal
get back to the
cows?
point at hand about coming to the cloud.
No, because you don't seem to be able to read the book of Daniel. It's the problem. You don't seem to be able to understand what Daniel's saying. If you take
That's
the book
begging the question.
if you take the book of Daniel's symbolic imagery literally, that's a huge problem, especially when the book of Daniel explicitly tells us over and over again that these are symbols for, like,
I told you 3 times.
for political matters. So, like, do you interpret the Pharaoh's dream where he sees like 7 sickly cattle and 7 healthy cattle as being like 14 literal cows?
Okay, now you're being dishonest because I said 3 times I'm not a biblical literalist. I hope you understood that now.
Except for you are, because you keep saying that the beasts are literal beasts.
Wait. Does that follow that when I say that my position on the beasts in Daniel 7 is that they're literal beasts, therefore I'm a biblical literalist? Does that make any sense to you?
Yes. Yes, you're taking this passage literally when it doesn't call for it. Especially when the text explicitly tells us that they're not literal beasts.
That's begging the question.
It's not
How do you
begging
know
the
that?
question.
You're just saying
I know it because I fucking read we've all read it. We've all
That's
read
what's in question.
no, it's not in question. We've read it. It says explicitly that these 4 beasts, great beasts, they are 4 kings that shall arise out of the earth.
No, they don't.
All
I'm
right.
saying that I'm making the distinction. So wait,
You're incapable of actually learning anything.
can I just make
new.
the point?
No, you're done. You're an idiot. You're too much of an idiot for me to have a conversation with. I've talked to a lot of Christians in my time. The majority of them smarter than you. That was wild. That was insane. I can't wait to clip that. So just so everyone knows, after seeing the things in the vision, Daniel says, "As for me, Daniel, my spirit was troubled within me, and the visions of my head terrified me. I approached one of the attendants to ask him the truth concerning all this. So he said that he would disclose to me the interpretation of the matter. Quote, as for these 4 great beasts, 4 kings shall arise out of the earth, but the holy ones of the Most High shall receive the kingdom and possess the kingdom forever, forever and ever. And then I desired the truth concerning the 4th beast, which was different from all the rest, exceedingly terrifying, with its teeth of iron and claws of bronze, and which devoured and broke in pieces and stamped what was left of its feet, and concerning the 10 horns that were on its head, and concerning the other horns that came up from before, with 3 others had fallen. And as I looked, the horn, and he goes on to talk about the description of the horn, but then in verse 23, this is what he said. As for the fourth beast, there shall be a fourth kingdom on earth that shall be different from all the other kingdoms, and it shall devour the whole earth and trample it down and break it to pieces. And as for the 10 horns, out of this kingdom 10 kings shall arise. Like, this is a level of biblical illiteracism I've never once encountered. That was wild. Hopefully we'll get a Christian who comes in here who can actually read. That'd be great. No more BS, please, says another day about lying. Another day lying for Jesus. Bleach is MAGA. They don't read. Oh, Bleach is MAGA. That makes sense. MAGA people, they aren't really all that keen on like reading. And we have here more super chats.
Pal70 with the $2. Caller literally doesn't know what a literalist is.
It would seem like it. Listen, I've spoken to a lot of biblical literalists, and even they don't read Daniel 7 as being literal. It's wild.
And GaryMan86 with the 5 bucks. I'm not a literalist. I'm literally am one of God's sheep.
Yeah, I'm sure he would take that position as well. He's literally a sheep. Wild. Captain for Christ, absolutely. We still don't have any guests in the YouTube box, and we don't have any right now in the TikTok box. So Jason Debateman says, I don't take the Bible literally, except in this case where I do take it literally. Oh my god. Yeah, Bleach is not a reader, that's for sure. Bleach, I don't know how you can hear the angels say to Daniel that these things aren't literal and that they represent 4 kingdoms and 10 kings in the 4th kingdom, and still come from a way that thinking that these are literal animals. Also, I would love to know where the 4-headed leper is in nature. I've yet to see that species. Wild. See, it's funny because there are hundreds of kingdoms, and they were so stupid back then that they thought their region was all there was. This is true. I mean, the authors of the Bible aren't aware of the fact that there are kingdoms and people groups outside of like their own known world. They weren't aware of Native Americans or anything like that. So no more bullshit, please, says when it's convenient appeals to the law, when it's not, it's been dealt with. Brain on Christianity. Yeah, don't ever let any Christian tell you that man shall not lie with man, for it is an abomination, quoting from Leviticus 18:22, if they also believe that the law of Moses has been done away with. This is so here, let me read Bleach's comment here.
This is so silly. I can just say that text doesn't say what that and be right.
That seems to be the way that you run things. You seem to just say, well, the text doesn't say that, and just run with it, even though we all just read it, Bleach. You can't lie to us. We all read it. Robel says, were you formerly Christian? I was formerly Christian. I grew up Protestant, and I've also practiced Catholicism at a different point in my life, and even practiced a little bit of Judaism at one point. Dalton, fuck, I just spat out my drink. That was so unfair. Wait, what was unfair? What did I say? But also clean that up. The voice changer. Oh yeah.
Clean up that drink, Tiffany.
But y'all wild. Hello, all the people on YouTube. I see all your beautiful chats, and I'm trying to catch up right now and see what's going on. Angels were surrealists. Oh my gosh. I hope Adam calls in. Who's Adam? Adam? People are hoping that you call in. I'm guessing you're an op. When people ask, I hope so-and-so calls in, it's usually because they're in opposition who be running their mouths like crazy in the comment section. and yet never gird their loins long enough to actually come up and have a conversation. So guys, don't give your hopes up. Christians, they don't have the chutzpah to come up and have a conversation with the Bible guy. Jesus already returned also is a coward. They always run their mouth in the comment section and never come up either. Do you treat the Bible as a fictional book like Harry Potter, for example? There's a lot in it which is fictional, and there are some portions of it which are historical. We take into consideration, like, what do the data tell us? Do we have any evidence historically for X, Y, and Z event in the Bible? Like, for example, typically we would hold that, like, for example, Nebuchadnezzar really did go and sack Jerusalem and carry the Jewish people into captivity. But, like, did David kill Goliath? No, we have no evidence for that. So according to you, if I take any statement in the Bible literally, I'm a literalist. When you take passages from the Bible which explicitly tell us that they're not literal, then yeah, I'm going to call you a literalist. Also, I'm just going to call you an idiot for not being able to read. What is your typical argument for 6? Is it just referencing Leviticus slavery or no objective morals? Normally, I just bring out to the fact that, look, the Bible supports a lot of things that we would deem to be immoral, such as slavery, misogyny, xenophobia, these sort of things. Yeah, we're not okay with slavery here. Christians are, though. Christians are. Bible Greece, you can't say any of it is historical. You're a literalist now. I'm not a literalist. I've never made the claim to be a literalist. And I'm able to actually, unlike you, Bleach, I can actually read the Bible. Oh yeah, genocide also. Yeah, genocide's no bueno. The Bible says Ramses was pharaoh in the 1400s BCE when he wasn't even born until the 1200s. Whoops. We can do this for the most real events. So even when it's telling real things, it's wrong. This is true. The book of Exodus tells us that the Israelites were building the storehouses at Pithom and Ramesses. But Ramesses wasn't a pharaoh for 200 years after when the Exodus allegedly would have taken place. What's your opinion on people who bash on science when confronted on events that have no evidence? When they bash on science, I would ask them if they're able to provide us a better method for getting to the truth of the matter. That's more what's the word I'm looking for? It's more accurate than the scientific method. And see what method they have for discovering what is true and what's false. Yeah, consistent. That's a good one. Angry atheist, anti-theist. A more consistent method for getting to the truth. We don't have any better method other than the scientific method. Dude, the Exodus is a myth. Absolutely, the Exodus is a myth. But if we're like talking about supposedly when the Exodus allegedly took place, according to the book of 1 Kings chapter 6, it took place 480 years before Solomon's temple. We know approximately when the temple was built. Using that, we can come to a conclusion as to when the Exodus would have taken place according to the Bible. And it's 200 years off from when the historical Ramesses would have lived. But he sure has big feelings about science, I'm sure. Oh, 100%. MAGA people don't like science. They selectively like science when science backs what they say, which it never does. Then they'll be all for it. But generally, most MAGA people are scientifically illiterate, a lot as well as being biblically illiterate. Let's see. We got another super chat.
At Resistance with the $5 Australian. Good eye, mate. What is this Bible people speak of? I only know of the Babel.
I might be wrong here, but I'm actually pretty sure that in Rastafarianism, their holy book, they do call it the Bible. But here's a hot take for everyone out there. There is no such thing as the Bible. And you've already heard me say it today. There is no such thing as the Bible. Instead, you have Bibles. You have many different versions of what we would call the Bible. If you are a Protestant, the Bible is 66 books. If you're a Catholic, it's 73 books. If you're a Orthodox Christian, then it's anywhere between 76 to 79 books, depending on which jurisdiction of Orthodoxy you belong to. And if you're Ethiopian, it's a whopping 81 books. So there really is no such thing as the Bible. Even amongst the Jewish people, there was no set like canon of scripture. There is not a single story from the Bible that hasn't been plagiarized. Grand Theft Auto Israel. No, it's not necessarily true. There are stories in the Bible that aren't plagiarized, and that would be, for example, as we've already mentioned, the sacking of Israel at the hands of the Babylonians. That's a real historical event, and it wasn't plagiarized from a previous event. Robel says, I'm not sure why people ignore or can't accept the bad and horrible in the Bible and cherry pick. Well, because it's hard to wrestle with the truth, especially when you're a Christian. Especially when people use equivocation fallacies in regards to life's beginning at conception. Don't know what that's a reference to, but yeah. Life does begin at conception, but we don't necessarily care about whether or not a thing is. I don't bite hard unless you ask me to. Did it die for anyone else? Did I? No, that was on my end, guys. Sorry, I froze. That was probably on me. Now remember, everyone, I live out in the ass end of nowhere, and if you want to see that change, make sure to send in some super chats, and we can start saving up for an apartment somewhere in town where I can get better internet. That's the goal. Are you a Christian? No, I'm not a Christian. Very much not a Christian. If I was a Christian, I wouldn't hold to any of these points above my head. I thought I had to move closer to my neighbor's Wi-Fi for a second there. I don't think TikTok can rent you an apartment. Well, luckily we're not relying on TikTok for that. Luckily. Justin is live. Justin's live right now? Well, that might explain why it's so slow. It was just in here earlier. Gee whiz. Well, we're going to try to make the best of it. We still got another 2 hours left of the live, so hopefully we can get some guests in here who want to discuss the Bible with us. You can make a short explanation of debunking Psalms 22 as prophecy. I want to hear your take. Absolutely. So the biggest problem regarding the Psalms as prophecy is the fact that, well, they're Psalms. They never claim to be prophecies. Moreover, doesn't that necessarily give the right to do what you're doing? Wait, does that necessarily give the right to do what you're doing now? Give you the right? No one gives me the right. I take it. But anyways, so Psalm 22 never even claims to be a prophecy. It's a psalm, and it's a psalm specifically about King David. If you open up if you look at the opening words of Psalm chapter 22 in the original Hebrew, let me pull it up real quick. Now, in your English translation, it's going to say something like, to the chief musician upon Aheleth Shahar, a psalm of David. Now, the problem here is it doesn't say a psalm of David in the Hebrew. It says a psalm for David or to David or about David. The same exact Hebrew word where it says to the chief musician, open up the Hebrew for everyone to see. This is to the chief musician. Notice this first letter at the beginning of the word for musician, menansiach. It is the letter lamed. Lamed is a preposition in Hebrew, and it means to or for or about. And in this case, it's also the word that's used to describe how this is a mizmor la David, a psalm la David. So the la can either mean it's a psalm to David, as in it's written to him, a psalm for David, as in it's written for him, or in that case, it's a psalm about David, but it never means a psalm by David. David's not the author of Psalm 22, and in fact, we don't have any psalm that claims to be authored by David. 73 of the Psalms are said to be written for or about King David. So Psalm 22 is about King David. It's about the struggles of King David. Dumb question. Does Hebrew write lines up, down, or does Hebrew write lines up, write lines up, down, or down, up? Well, if you mean like how do you write it out? When I write out Hebrew, here, I'll show you real quick. And then I'll answer the question about Psalm 51 next. Let's take a look. When I write in Hebrew, let's take a look. If I was to write La David, for example. Oh. Yeah, I write from the bottom up. From the bottom up. So that's how I do it, at least. I can't tell you how they do it in Israel, but when I write in Hebrew, I start from the bottom up instead of from the top down. So there's that. Now, as for Psalm 51, does Psalm 51 claim to be written by King David? Well, let's take a look at the Hebrew of Psalm 51, and we'll see. Psalm chapter 51. It says here, to the chief musician, Mizmor La David, a psalm for or about King David. In this case, for probably means that it was written for David, as in for David to sing. So David is like, it's, for example, you know, that we remember, like, there are a lot of pop stars in the early 2000s and even now who they might sing songs, but they don't write the songs. They have songwriters, and the same is true here. David might be the one who's like the recipient of the psalm. He's meant to sing it, but it's not written by him. It's written to the chief musician, so it's meant for the chief musician to play the chords on, and then it's a psalm for David to sing, because it's about David's struggles after, like, what happened with Bathsheba. But no, not written by David also just written for him to perform. The NRSV says of still. Is there any English translation that properly uses the Hebrew? So here's the reason why English translations are going to say to or of or something like that. And it's for one word and only one thing only. Tradition. Tradition. Because both Jewish and Christian tradition teaches that David is the author of the Psalms, therefore the Lamed gets translated as a Psalm of David. In this, and this makes people think Psalm of David means Psalm written by David, but it's more like Psalm of David, like a Psalm of a lamentation. Lamentation didn't write the Psalm, but it's a Psalm about lamentation. And when it says Psalm of David, it also means Psalm about David. Actually, I just searched it up and can confirm it definitely means Psalm for David. Yep. If you want to actually see a really good, interesting video on this topic, is you want to watch Joel Baden has a really good course lesson on the Great Courses Plus about did David write the Psalms. It's really interesting. It goes into detail about how over time David was attributed to the Psalms because of the fact that it's mostly because of the fact that David was a musician, and also David had a huge part in like creating the temple structure for like liturgy. So Dre is going to be our next guest in the guest box. So Dre, I'm going to ask you the same 4 preliminary question that I ask every one of my guests, irrespective of who they are. Question number 1: are you at least 18 years old?
Yes, sir.
Question number 2: are you a Bible believer?
Yes, sir.
Question
Hallelujah.
Question number 3: how much of the Bible have you read?
All of it.
All right. And then question number 4: what pronouns do you prefer to go by?
Pronouns, that's like what, he, him?
Yeah. You go by he, him?
Yes, sir.
All right. Dre, he, him. I'm Dawson, the Bible guy. Which one of the 6 points on the board did you want to discuss with me?
I mean, can we talk about all of them or just pick one?
Just pick one. We can start with picking one, and how fast we go through the conversation will determine whether or not we get to a second or third point. But yeah, go ahead. Pick a point.
Sure. Okay, let's do that. You know what? Let's start from number 1 and we work our way down. By the way, are you on YouTube?
I am on YouTube right now.
Wow. How many subscribers?
Right now, we're almost at 4K. And everyone out there, if you're not subscribed already, make sure you subscribe to the Bible Guy YouTube channel so we can hit that sweet 4K. But anyways, the Bible
What's going on YouTube?
So the Bible is not inspired. Tell me, Dre, why do you believe that the Bible is inspired?
Yeah. So if we go back to the first century, right? 1 second. Let me just get my notes. 1 second.
Dre?
1 second, buddy. So you want to know why the Bible was inspired? I'm going to tell you why right now.
Could you just talk to me? Dre,
I'm going to answer you.
Look, this is not a platform for you to get free clout on your ability to beatbox. If you want to have a conversation with me, you're going to have to talk to me and not beatbox at me. He asked if I was on YouTube. He wanted an audience. Dre, this ain't the space for you, bud. Go start your own YouTube channel. But if you want to have an actual conversation, I'm more than okay with having a conversation, but you can't be coming up here and beatboxing, dude. Bananas Benny says the Bible isn't anti-abortion and it's not a good source for morals. That seems counterintuitive for you. It's not. The Bible is not pro-abortion either. It's just neutral. It doesn't say anything for or against abortion. The Bible is not a good source for morals because of the fact that it positively does support slavery. All right, Dre, I'm bringing you back up.
Yeah, I've got my notes now.
All right, Dre, why should I think the Bible is inspired?
Cool. So I've written down on my notes that I like it when the city went to work.
Bye, Dre. You're not coming back up. What the fuck is wrong with guests today? Yeah, like what the hell is that? Dre, you're not coming back up. I don't care how many times you ask. You lost privileges, bud. Wild. All right. Well, it looks like we got someone on YouTube in the YouTube guest box, so I'm gonna bring them up now. Let's take a look. See if I can figure out how to work this again. Guest, can you hear me? I can hear you. One moment. Okay, maybe they just need a second. There we are. Hello, guest. What is your name? Hello? Hello?
Testing.
There you are. Hello, guest. Can you hear? Hello. What name should I call you by?
Call me Ashen.
Ashen. All right, Ashen. I'm going to ask you 4 preliminary questions. I ask every one of my guests, irrespective of who they are. Question number 1: are you at least 18 years old?
Yes.
All right. Question number 2: are you a Bible believer?
No.
All right. And then I'll skip question 3 and go to question 4. Ashen, what pronouns do you prefer to go by?
He, him.
All right. Let the Christians out there, let this be knowledge to you. Ashen's able to call in from YouTube, so you are too. Ashen, what brings you to the live?
If I may, the quick pre-note. When I tried to join on the call, there's an extra T in the address inside the description.
Oh, is there? I'm going to have to fix that next time I go live then.
It's HTTP.
Oh, all right. Thank you for that. I'll make sure to fix that. So I need to definitely get that fixed because no one's able. But guys, in the comment section, just type in tinyurl.com/Bible Guy guest, and you can come in and be a guest on the show. So
That might be why YouTube hasn't been getting very many guests. Perhaps.
Yeah, that explains a lot, actually. Thank you for that. Is there anything you wanted to discuss, or did you come to inform me about that?
Well, that is just an extra, but I did want to say that I think that number 6 might be inaccurate.
The Bible is not a good source for morals. Why?
Because of the Genesis story. For when Eve eats the fruit,
Mm-hmm.
the first thing that she notices is that it's bad to be naked, which is the way that God made her.
But that's not really a moral. So she's ashamed that I would say that we shouldn't be ashamed of our nakedness, right?
Well, no, it's more than that. She was only able to recognize that she was naked and to clothe herself after she distanced herself from God.
Yeah, I mean, how does this pertain to the Bible not being a good source for morals?
No. I think that is a good moral.
Oh, it's good to get away from God and
it's basically telling on itself in the very first chapter, saying that no. I don't care about whether or not it's good or bad. You just do what I tell you. And the very first good act that Eve was ever able to do was when she separated herself from this God and made choices for herself.
In that case, though, I would say that the serpent is being the voice of, like, the moral voice here, and God is the one. So it's the Bible can have people who say good things occasionally, but the Bible, as I would think the Bible, but it doesn't instruct positively that you should eat the fruit from the knowledge of good and evil. So it's not giving us a good moral. It's just the bad character in the story is giving us a good moral.
Well, throughout the rest of the Bible, it kind of shows that God's favorite people are some of the worst people.
This is true. He likes broken people, and then he likes to shit on them for being broken. And then other times he just likes to pull them up for being broke, and exalt them for being shit people.
Correct. But yeah, that's all I wanted to bring.
Also, I'm being told in the comment section, Ichthias says caller has a radio voice. So
thank you.
Consider that for your future right there.
Unfortunately, I'm a bit too temperamental in order to be on these sorts of lives. I would crash out on people way too much.
Maybe a job doing voiceovers then. You've got a great voice. I'll say that for sure.
Thank you. I appreciate it. But if there is no one else, I will take my leave.
All right. You have a good day, Ashen.
You too. Bye.
So everyone, if you are a Christian on YouTube and you'd like to come on up and have a conversation with us, make sure to call in at tinyurl.com/Bible Guy guest. Now let's see if we got anything. Nope, no one in the YouTube, the TikTok comment section either. I don't know why Christians are being so cowardice today. Crazy. Well, I'll just keep instructing you guys on more fun facts about the Bible. We'll just shoot the shit. I've brought my mic down a lot at this point, Ichthias. But we got a super chat here.
At Herbie Shine with the £5. Hello, Governor. I was asleep. The cats used me as a launch space while chasing each other, going to try to get back to sleep. I'll be back later, or I'll watch tomorrow.
Hey, 100% valid. Herbie Shine, you get yourself a good rest, my friend. And You'll either listen back to later or tomorrow, in which case, hi, hope you had a good sleep. It's just clipping a bit. Hopefully this is better. I've turned it down a little bit more. But anyways, it's better now. All right. Perhaps my Bose headphones. Yeah, there we go. Yeah. Anyways, so we got another guest on, JB. JB, I'm going to ask you the same 4 preliminary questions that I ask every one of my guests, irrespective of who they are. Question number 1, JB, are you at least 18 years old?
Yeah.
Question number 2, are you a Bible believer?
No.
Okay, and I'll skip question 3 and go to question 4. Question number 4, what pronouns do you prefer to go by, JB?
He, him.
All right, JB, he, him. What brings you up to the Bible Guy show?
So I was having I had 2 questions, but the first one, I was having a debate with a Christian on that Jesus extra to follow the Mosaic law versus what Paul says. And I pointed out, he kept saying how Jesus, like, when he said it is finished, he was referring to,
The law.
I guess, like, yeah, the law. And then I kept pointing out how it says, but the law doesn't, pass into new earth and new heaven, basically. He just, like, couldn't get that point.
Yeah, I would
like,
point out to
is
him
it
that
right?
when Jesus says it is finished, what he's referring to in the most obvious and immediate context is his suffering on the cross. Because as soon as that happens, what happens? He dies. The it is finished is my work on the cross, my suffering here, it is finished. That seems to be the immediate context and meaning of the phrase.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to point out to him, but I think he was just being intellectually dishonest.
I would
But
also point to him for the future. Get your notes out so I can. Matthew chapter 28, during the section which is called the Great Commission, where Jesus sends out the 12 apostles. Well, at this point they're just 11 because Judas himself. But anyways, Matthew chapter 28, Jesus says, let's see, in verse 18, and Jesus came and said to them, all authority in heaven and on earth has been given to me. Go therefore and make disciples of all nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father and of the Son and of the Holy Spirit. Here's the key phrase, and teaching them to obey everything that I have commanded you. And remember, I'm with you always to the end of the age. He says to obey everything that I have commanded you. So if Jesus commanded his followers prior to the crucifixion to obey the law of Moses, and Jesus after the crucifixion tells the disciples to tell all Christians to obey everything that I have commanded you, that necessarily includes every statement he made about observing the law of Moses.
yeah, thank you for that, because I read the whole Bible, but I have like terrible memory, so yeah, definitely will try to remember that one. But a point that I made to him is where like I was trying to show an example where Jesus actually like explicitly condemns people for not following the law, and I brought up Matthew 15, and he just said that he was condemning them for being hypocrites and not like the law itself.
Yeah, well, I would, if you can, walk them through verse by verse through Matthew chapter 15. It's very obvious that the reason why they're hypocrites is because they're not doing the law of Moses. Although the hypocrite passage is Matthew 23 specifically, but there Jesus tells them that they're hypocrites because they preach the law of Moses, but they don't do the law of Moses. So when we read Matthew 15, pull up on the screen again. We see here specifically Jesus says about the scribes and the Pharisees, although no, he does call them a hypocrite here. You hypocrite, you hypocrites. Verse 7, Isaiah prophesied rightly about you when he said, this people honors me with their lips, but their hearts are far from me. In vain do they worship me, teaching human precepts as doctrines. So his problem with them was not for doing and preaching the law of Moses in this instance, but because they were teaching human precepts as doctrines. And the human precept that he is they are teaching. In Judaism, this precept is called netilat yadayim, means the washing of the hands. Basically, it is a ceremonial washing of the hands that takes place prior to the eating of a meal. It's not found in the law of Moses. It's a tradition that evolved later on in Judaism. And the Pharisees were condemning the disciples for not participating in this tradition of the elders. But Jesus says explicitly that he has a huge problem with them because, and why do you, in verse 3, why do you break the commandment of God for the sake of your tradition? So Jesus' very point of problem with them is because they are not observing the law of God, but instead of are observing their man-made traditions over the law of God.
Right. Yeah, I tried to explain that to them, but
Well, in the when you go back and watch
oh,
this,
sorry.
episode, which it will be up on YouTube as soon as the live's over, just go in, take notes on the things I'm saying, and you'll be able to be a bit more prepared for your next conversation on this topic.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Okay. And my last question, would you say like how many sins would you say Jesus technically committed, and what are they?
Well, the New Testament presents Jesus as being without sin. Now, let me take a look at this. Let me think. So most people would like to point out that Jesus broke the Sabbath. However, Jesus' breaking of the Sabbath is actually permitted in the instances that he does do it, because Jewish law states that if a person's life is in danger, you're allowed to work on the Sabbath in order to preserve the life of the other individual. So, for example, if you are hungry and you have no food, so in other words, you're in danger of dying of hunger, you're allowed to pick grain on the Sabbath, even though that wouldn't be permitted on Sabbath, which is exactly what happens in the Gospels. Jesus' disciples are picking grain on the Sabbath, and the Pharisees come up and tell him that he's in the wrong for this, but he points out that, one is able to break the Sabbath in the case of when it preserves the life of another individual. This is called pikuach nefesh in Hebrew, or the preservation of life. And it's based on Leviticus 18, verse 5, where it says, the one who does this law, his will have life through it. There aren't any, and of course, John chapter 8 with the adulterous woman isn't original to the Gospel of John, but even in that case, Jesus still isn't breaking the law of Moses. So I can't think of any explicit moment in which Jesus breaks the law of Moses on the top of my head. The authors are very
Wouldn't
careful to make him observant.
wouldn't Matthew 16:27 through 28 technically be a lie though?
Let me take a look. Matthew 16. Is this when he promises that he will return before the end of the
Yeah.
Yeah. Although
Yeah.
although technically wouldn't classify as a lie, because if Jesus really believed it, I don't think the historical Jesus said this, but supposing that the historical Jesus did promise that he would return before like this generation is over with, Jesus probably would have believed that sincerely. And a lie is only a lie if you know that what you're saying isn't true, and yet you're presenting it as if it were true. In this case, Jesus would just be wrong and mistaken, not that he would be lying. So technically, not breaking of the commandment to not lie.
Okay. Well, yeah, I definitely thought that was considered a lie, since he like because I gave an analogy where if I told someone I was going to the store and before I came back, well, when I came back, or I would come back before they leave the house, it would be a lie if I didn't come back, right?
Yeah, only if you knew for a fact you weren't actually going to make it in time. You could just be like, it was just some things came up and you didn't mean for this to happen, so you didn't lie. In that case, you were just wrong.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Happy to help. See, guys,
Yeah,
Christians,
have a good day.
you too. See, Christians, I can be fair. Like I'm very fair about, like, I'm not going to sit here and say that Jesus lied at X, Y, and Z time if I don't see it as being a lie. So I'm a fair person. He still wasn't the Messiah, though. He didn't fulfill a single messianic prophecy. So you still get that problem out there, Christians. Let's see if I have any. I don't have any guests on TikTok or YouTube. Slow day, slow day. I thought him cursing the fig tree was a sin. No, it's not a sin. There's nothing. There is no law in the Torah that says thou shalt not like use magic to curse a fig tree or use God's power to curse a fig tree. That's not in the Torah of Moses. Now people will always wonder why Jesus cursed the fig tree, even though it wasn't producing figs in the isn't cursing in and of itself a sin? No, it's not a sin because you can curse someone. God curses people all the time, and a prophet could curse the people of Israel to like Jonah curses the people of Nineveh, says that because you haven't done this thing, God is going to bring down this and this and that punishment against you. That's a curse. But the reason that Jesus curses the fig tree is because what ends up happening is he curses the fig tree for not producing figs. Then he goes to the temple, where the temple is being seen as corrupt. And then after he like cleanses the temple, then he goes back and he sees that the fig tree the next day has been has withered. And the purpose of the fig tree story was because in the Old Testament, the nation of Israel and the temple system is sometimes figuratively pictured as a fig tree. So the author of the gospel here is using this story as a symbol of Jesus cursing the temple system as being obsolete. Picking green. Can you steal? Can you steal? You cannot steal, but although the fields, taking grain from the field in this case wouldn't be stealing because that is open. Like you're allowed to do that according to the law of Moses. Certain parts of the field are open for anyone to take, not just for the person who owns the field. So, still not a sin in that case either. Now, if Christians want to make the claim though that Jesus did in fact break the law of Moses, then you have a huge problem, Christians. Because if Jesus broke the law of Moses, that would make him a sinner. And if he's a sinner, then that invalidates him from being the perfect sinless sacrifice. So you're kind of caught in a pickle here. Either Jesus didn't break the law of Moses and he upheld it and you should observe it, or Jesus broke the law of Moses and he was not the perfect sacrifice. So either way, as you currently are Christians, you're kind of fucked. Because Jesus says in Matthew chapter 7, verse 23, depart from me, I never knew you, you who practice lawlessness. If you break God's law, Jesus will say, according to the Gospel of Matthew, that he never knew you. But Paul said, who gives a fuck? Oof. So, the next question that people often ask is, how did we get... Jesus' name in Hebrew, Yeshua, means Joshua. How do we get the name Jesus? So I guess I'll give you guys a quick instruction on how we get the name Jesus from Yeshua. So, in the Old Testament, we are presented with a figure whose name was Joshua. Joshua's name in Hebrew was Yehoshua. Yehoshua. One second. There's something going on my screen. No, I do not want a subscription to that thing. Hard pass. Anyways, so Joshua's name in Hebrew is Yehoshua. Spelled Yud, He, Vav, Shin, Ayin. Yehoshua. Now, what ended up happening amongst the Jewish people is that after the Babylonian exile, the Jewish people began to truncate a lot of their names. By the way, in the name Yehoshua is made up of two parts. The Yeho part is short for Yahweh, and then there's also a mixture of the word Hoshea, which means salvation. So Yehoshua means Yahweh is salvation. That's the meaning of it. A lot of names during the Second Temple period would get truncated for convenience sake. So names like Yehonatan, which is Jonathan, would get shortened to Yonatan. Yehochanan to Yochanan. Yeshayahu to just Yeshayah, etc., etc. Names get shortened. And the name Joshua, Yehoshua, gets shortened during the Second Temple period to Yeshua. This becomes the shortened, truncated form of the name Yehoshua. In fact, we have in Ezra chapter 7, verse 11, we hear about how Joshua, we hear about Joshua from the book of Joshua, and they refer to him there not as Yehoshua ben Nun, but as Yeshua ben Nun. So Yeshua is just Joshua as it appears in Second Temple Judaism. Now, when the Hebrew Bible was being written, was being translated into Greek, the authors of the Septuagint need a way to bring the name Yehoshua into Greek, because you can't just write in Hebrew letters because no one's going to be able to read it. And the problem is you can't perfectly transliterate a name like this Hebrew into Greek, and we'll show you why. So you take the first letter, the Yud, okay, and that's equivalent to the iota or iota in Greek. And Yeshua, if you want that ye sound, the letter you present is a eta, so ye. Now here's the problem. This letter right here, in Hebrew it's called a shen, and it's pronounced with the sh sound. The problem is, in Greek, there is no sh sound. So what do? You do the closest thing you can do, and you bring a letter that represents an S sound. So in this case, the letter sigma, yes. And then you got the ua, or u, the equivalent in Greek would be u, omicron, upsilon, get you the u. But here's another problem. Leaving Jesus' name in Greek as Yesu is also problematic because Yesu sounds feminine. So in order to masculinize it, bring the last letter, the final sigma at the end of the word. So that gets you to the name Jesus. And from there, over time, the name Jesus gets brought into Latin as Jesus, and into Old English also as Jesus, and eventually the letter J is introduced into the language. And when you hear there, you get Jesus. And because the way that language works, we don't just say Jesus. We sort of there's a certain way of relating this certain grammar, but lots of times in the middle of sentences between vowels, an S gets turned into like a Z sound. So in this case, it's Jesus instead of Jesus. But and if you look at older like translations of the Bible, like the King James Version Bible, sometimes the name Jesus occurs, and it's not a reference to Jesus, but instead it's a reference to Joshua from the Old Testament. And the translators of the King James Version aren't quite, either they're not aware of it or they don't care, because they end up translating Joshua also as Jesus. So there will be segments of the New Testament where it talks about how Jesus led the Israelites in the wilderness, and it's actually a reference to Joshua, which is why in modern Bible translations it'll correct it by saying Joshua. But technically, if we want to be super duper accurate about the Bible, it's not Jesus the Messiah, it's Joshua the Anointed One. But we got another guest. I'll bring up the guest. We got here Gernard. You're gonna have to help me here. How do we say your name?
Oh, you can just call me Sam.
Sam? All right. Sam, I'm going to ask you 4 preliminary questions before we move forward with the conversation. Question number 1, are you at least 18 years old?
Yes.
Question number 2, are you a Bible believer?
I have actually quite recently deconstructed.
Good for you. All right. Question number 3, how much of the Bible have you read?
I have read it from front to back a couple of times.
Fantastic. And then final question, what pronouns do you prefer to go by?
He and him.
All right, Sam, he, him. I'm Dalton the Bible Guy. What brings you up to the show?
Yes, I actually only have one question, and I would like to argue about the number 4. Jesus was not God,
Yes.
and I would like to ask you about your opinion on John 10:30. I and the Father are one.
Excellent question. So in order to understand what Jesus means by I and the Father are one, we need to read another passage also in the Gospel of John where Jesus goes into further detail about being one. So I'm going to pull up the passage right here for everyone to read. John chapter 17, and we're going to go to verse 11. And this is what Jesus is saying while he's praying to God. He says, "And now I am no longer in the world, but they, the believers, they are in the world, and I am coming to you. Holy Father, protect them in your name that you have given me, so that they may be one as we are one." So here Jesus tells God that he wants God to protect the followers and to make the followers one, just as him and God are one. And it tells us a lot about what it means for Jesus to be one. It doesn't mean ontologically one in essence, as in we're the same being. One here means we have a goal and will that are united together in a common purpose. So when Jesus says, I and the Father are one, he's meaning to say that whatever God's wills and desires, that I do, and my goals are aligned with him. We're one, we're united. So that's what Jesus means by saying, I and the Father are one.
I see, I see. Then I'm not sure if I remember correctly, but you might remember it when they asked Jesus that who are you, he replied and said that I am, using the God's name.
Yeah, so in order to best understand this, we have to go into detail about what it means for. So remember here in John chapter 17, verse 11, Jesus says not only that may they be one even as we are one, but he says something else that is very important. He says, Holy Father, protect them in your name that you have given me. So he describes the name of God as something which has been given to him. In ancient Israelite myth and in like the New Testament era time as well, the first century Judaism, there's an idea that angels and other agents can be given God's name, and this therefore bestows upon them some sort of divine power and authority. We see this, for example, in Exodus chapter 23, where God speaks about the angel in the wilderness. He says about this, in verse 20, I am going to send an angel in front of you to guard you on the way and bring you to the place that I have prepared. Be attentive to him and listen to his voice. Do not rebel against him, for he will not pardon your transgressions, for my name is in him. So, the idea is that the divine name is being bestowed upon this angel as what we would say the divine name is a communicable vehicle for divine agency. In other words, that the name is able to transfer God's power and authority to another individual without them being God. The angel being an example of this. We see in the first century that there are other angels, and later, first century and later, other angels that are able to do this. Like, for example, in the Testament of Abraham, another Second Temple Jewish work, there's an angel named Yehoel, which means Yeho is literally means a short for Yahweh. This angel has Yahweh's name in his name, and as a result, this angel is able to do things that only Yahweh can do. And we see that there's another angel called the Metatron in Second Enoch, who is called the Lesser Yahweh. And even though that this angel isn't God, it's Enoch, the prophet Enoch, who has been exalted to the status of an angel and is called the Lesser Yahweh, is able to speak as if he were Yahweh and do the things that only Yahweh would be able to do. Jesus in the Gospel of John is telling us that there is a special relationship between him and the divine name, which is why he's able to use the Greek phrase ego eimi, I am, in reference to himself, because as he says in John 17 verse 11, God has given him his name, and as a result, Jesus is able to act and perform and do the works that normally would only be like something only God could do. He's acting in the same way that the angel of the Lord in the book of Exodus is able to act.
Great, great. This has been for a long time. This has been on my mind that what is this all about? But that was now I understand it. Thank you.
Happy to help. Anything else, bud?
I think that was it.
All right, Sam. Well, thank you for coming up. You have a wonderful day.
You too.
So, speaking of the question of Jesus not being God, and I often reference on this channel, I reference Philo of Alexandria, and I reference the fact that Philo taught what was called Logos theology. And what do I mean by that? In Philo of Alexandria works, he writes about an archangelic figure called the Logos. Logos, by the way, is the same exact word used in John chapter 1 when it says in the beginning was the word. It's the Greek word logos. And every way in which the Logos is described is the same way that the New Testament describes Jesus. And Philo's work precedes the New Testament. So I started this past 3 days when I was off. I've been spending time in Philo's work and doing research on every reference to the divine Logos in his work to see all the correlations, because we did have a young man come on here, I think it was Thursday, and he made the claim that, well, because the New Testament says that Jesus created all things and he doesn't say all other things, therefore it's not like Jesus is a created thing and he created all other things. No, even in Philo's work, I found exactly a reference where Philo says that the Logos, which he explicitly says is not uncreated like God and is an archangel, created all things. So this type of language is pretty normal for first century Jewish angelology. So I'm writing it down for notes, and I'll probably include it in a bigger, greater paper that I'm working on right now called Christology in Text, a reassessment of scriptural the scriptures usage for Jesus's divinity. So that's what I'm working on right now. Ichthus says, either you and Justin scared off most of the believers or you converted them all. No calls. Yeah. Listen, the fact that I'm not getting any Christian callers, I'm going to assume that they're either too scared to come up and talk to us or they're all converting to atheism. So there's that. Well, we got some super chats to read.
At Chip Payet, who decided to pay it to me with the $9.99 towards the apartment. Hey, Chip.
Much appreciated. Definitely going towards the apartment. Yeah, 100%. I cannot wait to get some better internet, y'all. I cannot express to y'all how much we need some better internet around here.
And at House 70 with the $2. Christians, reads book, questions, atheist.
This is the sequence of events. A Christian reads the book, the Bible. He has questions. They have questions. And then they end up becoming atheists because, as we often say on this channel, the number one tool for converting people to atheism, so to speak, is to simply have them read the Bible. No More Bullshit Please says, can't believe today's stream might not have a pronouns crash out. It's looking like that. I'm surprised by how well behaved on the pronouns question a lot of the Christians have been doing lately. It's quite wild. W Caller, absolutely. W Caller for deconstruction. So very happy for Sam on that. Eric Mickelson says Dan McClone is an expert on this topic in regards to the divine name being a communicable vehicle for divine agency and authority. Yes, Dan McClone is the top expert on this topic, I believe. In fact, that phrase communicable vehicle for divine agency and authority is something I did pick up from Dan. And I mean, I'm wearing Dan merch right now. Guys, I'm a Dan stan. I can't help it. He's got good scholarship. He's a good communicator. And yeah, we love Dan McClone over here. Now, if anyone wants to read some of Dan's work on this topic of the divine name and how like godhood is bestowed upon other beings besides God, there's a book that Dan wrote, and you can find it for free online. I'm gonna pull it up real quick so that you guys. Let me see. If I pull it up so that you guys can read it for yourselves. Which one of these is the free copy? Here it is. I'm gonna copy and paste that link, and I'll add it to the description. What pronouns do you use? I go by he, him. So, anyways, here we go. Yahweh's Divine Images, a Cognitive Approach by Daniel O. McClellan. This is Dan's book on the topic, and the whole thing is free to read online. I will make sure to add it here. In fact, there's a link right there in the TikTok. And in the YouTube chat, I'll link right there for you guys. And I'll make sure to add it to the description later. But yeah, good read. It's not a book for like it's not like a popular book where you're going to be like reading it on the shelf at a bookstore. It is an academic paper. So keep that in mind when you're reading it. It's a bit like thick on the information. Let's see. Absolutely happy to help. Dan is great. I'm reading his book, The Bible Says So now. That's a good book. I read it too. Hey, since no callers and Christians can't explain to an atheist what a God is, can you? It's incoherent. Well, there's a reason for that, atheist, is because God is there isn't a firm definition for what a God is, because of the fact that there are gods in all kinds of different religions, and all these different gods and goddesses are portrayed in very different factors because they are socially created entities. They're not real. They exist only in the mind of man. And as a result, different people groups are going to have different understandings of what it means for something to be a god. So, which is why I don't hold to any particular hardcore, like, this is what it means to be a god, because of the fact that God is a malleable term amongst cultures. I have to force myself to call it a person in a storybook to make it make sense. I mean, gods do act as persons within, like, theistic literatures. So that's not incorrect. But like when we talk about, people say, well, if it didn't create the universe, then it's not God. Well, tell that to Zeus. I mean, not all gods are creators. Not all gods are male presenting. Not all gods are all knowing or all powerful. Like, gods come in all different shapes and sizes. Ask Horton. Here's a who. Can you read my DM? Oh, yeah. Here. I got you, YouTube punk. Let's see. Sorry, I don't check the Discord all that much when I'm doing these lives. I need to start doing that 100%. Let's take a look. I will, first and foremost, I will give that website a look that you proposed to me, but also Job chapter 2 verse 3. Can you expound on the word insight? Let's take a look. Job chapter 2. And the Lord said unto Satan, hast thou considered my servant Job, that there is none like him in the earth, a perfect and upright man, one that fears God and escheweth evil. And still he holds fast his integrity, although thou movest me against him to destroy him without cause. On the word insight. Wait a minute, maybe I'm looking at the wrong translation here. Where's the word insight here? Job 2, verse 3. The Lord said to the accuser, have you considered my servant Job? There is none like him on the earth, a blameless and upright man who fears God and turns away from evil. He still persists in his integrity, although you incited me against him. Okay, I see. I see what you're saying. Okay. Now let's take a look at the Hebrew and see what it actually is. Let's see. Yeah, so this is the Hebrew word sut, spelt here 1 second. This is the Hebrew word sut, spelt Samek Vav Tav Sut, and it means to instigate. Oh, sorry. And it carries the meaning of to incite, to allure, to instigate. Basically, Yahweh is basically like bringing Job to. By the way, Elizabeth, if you want to come up, I don't have any co-host right now. You're more than welcome to come up and hang out with me. Anyways, yeah, Yahweh is instigating, means that he is like basically alluring Satan to do this thing. It wasn't on Satan's mind. Satan wasn't aware of Job, and yet Yahweh specifically like brings Job in, brings Satan in on this, and basically like sticks out Job in front of Satan as like a prop. Yeah. Which is what a dick move on Yahweh's part, right? Job was fine. He wasn't going to get hurt, and then Yahweh 100%. Exactly. Charles implanted the idea in Job's head. Wouldn't have happened if Yahweh hadn't like put Job out there like that. I didn't think this day would come. An atheist explains it better to an atheist, better than believers. Hey, when it comes to knowledge in the Bible, atheists and non-religious individuals seem to know the Bible better overall. That's just the way that things roll. K child of God wants a strange prompts. They're not strange. What's strange? I don't see anything strange about any of the 6 prompts up here. Loving your commentary though, and loving your commentary too, Liz. Use Job as a carrot. Yeah, absolutely. He did use Job as a carrot. What a dick move. Stop blaming your imaginary friend. By the way, guys, 2026 not only is the year of the Bible guy, but it's the year I hit the big 30. So I have a feeling that my 20s sucked ass. So here's hoping that my 30s are a lot more better. Oppo says, check your Cash App, my guy. Oh. Let's take a look. And don't forget, everyone, if you are in the comment section and you like send me money on Cash App, I'll read whatever you say over there too. From Oppo with the $35. Let me hear it.
For appreciate you as always. You're an inspiration.
Thank you, Oppo. Much appreciated. Thank you for the $35. Wouldn't be able to do any of this without any of you guys. So just putting that out there. The Bible Guy Show doesn't exist without its streamers. Oh, I forgot to set the damn it, I forgot to set the vertical stream on today, didn't I? I did. That would have helped a lot. Oh well. 30s can be great. Oh, wait till you hit 60. With your experience, you far exceed your youthful 30. Yeah. Well, listen, Dalton's just such a treasure to have. So funny. Listen, yeah. The reason I know so much about the Bible, y'all, is because as a teenager, I did not have a personal life. Come to think of it, I don't think I still do. But yeah, I mean, I spent all my time reading the Bible, which always made me the black sheep of the family. I always believed contrary to what was taught in my church growing up. And as a result, I just further and further scooted away from my evangelical Protestant upbringing until I like left Protestantism for Catholicism, and then left Catholicism for Judaism, and then became a deist, and then became an atheist. Monica says every single atheist I know knows more about the Bible than than any Christian I've met. Hey, that's just what happens when you read the book. And for some reason, Christians seem to be allergic to reading the Bible. I don't know what it is. There's some sort of mental dampener that's going on here. Did not mean to push that. You've actually sought after truth. Yeah, I mean, listen, at the end of the day, my goal has always been to believe as many true things as possible and to disbelieve as many false things as possible, which meant that if I held to a certain doctrine or dogma and the data did not corroborate with that dogma, out with the dogma, in with the data. That's just how I've always cared more about the truth than my personal beliefs, and it doesn't make me uncomfortable to change my mind. Let's see. By the way, how many of you out there saw my recent video where I compared my voice with that of Tom Rabbit's voice? I want to get y'all's opinion. Do I, from what you've heard based on that video, do I sound like Tom Rabbit? Well, hello there, you.
I'm a Bible toting Christian.
Where the fuck have you been?
I don't know. I wanted you to go solo sometimes. People need you to themselves, you know?
I go solo on myself every night. I don't
Oh. Yeah, but the people don't get to watch that.
Not yet. No, they don't get to watch that yet. We're not quite that desperate for cash yet. Collingwood says you sound so much like him. They are similar but distinct. Like, yeah, there's a certain, I think it's the speech pattern is mostly what it is. I showed it to my mom, and my mom didn't know that it wasn't me talking. Dink says, love all your topics and agree across the board. Glad to see that. But I would love to talk with some opposition who disagree, and they do believe that the Bible is inspired, that Jesus was the Messiah. I feel like I need to create more talk boards for different specific topics for us to run. Like maybe I'll create one specifically about how Jesus was the Messiah, or about how Jesus wasn't God, or I'll brainstorm some ideas for like talking points that have something to do with the Bible. We'll get there. We love solo Dalton. We haven't gotten there yet. My hand automatically went to the solo Dalton position. But
At Chris Valdez with the 500 pesos. Just enjoying the stream. There's no schism here. Only in the DZ debates. Deco Zone Wars. Gay for Duncan.
Much appreciated, Carlos. Much appreciated. No schism here. There is no schism in Bossing Say. I am the harpy. I 100% agree with that.
We're creating a schism of people who think you sound like Tom Rabbit and people who don't.
I don't care about that schism. That's kind of lame. As far as schisms go, that's lame as hell.
Wow. That's see that's what the Catholic Church thought.
The schism is, yeah, the Pope is like, that Martin Luther guy, lame as hell.
Exactly.
How about the Daltonite Duncanite schism? You guys are Duncanites. There are no Daltonites. Daltonite doesn't even sound fun. Here's a hint, never ever again. It's later than you think this. Here's a hint, never ever again. That's not a hint towards anything. That tells me nothing. Why are you always saying stupid shit in the comment section? It's later than you think. Without fail, everything you say is utter bullshit. And also, you've never had the chutzpah to come up and talk to me. There's nothing funnier than, like, it blows my mind because when I was a Christian, I would have done, if I believed that I had the truth, I would have done anything to go up and talk to people. I wasn't afraid. I don't know why so many of these Christians are afraid.
So Dalton, I was being creepy and I was watching you, and then I
Let's
got
know.
these like cool. Yeah, I actually installed the camera when I was over last year. It's been very useful.
That would be very bad on my part. I'm naked a lot when y'all aren't looking.
Imagine I like said something that only I could know if I actually did that.
Oh God.
You pick your nose sometimes. I was trying to think of something. Anyways, I was installing my Bible tabs to my other Bible. And I never thought about this. The Greeks, the Greek inspired the New Testament, they didn't have as much to say. They've got some really short books.
Oh yeah, 100%. The Old Testament is by far older than the New Testament. But we got Toe Muncher here. Toe Muncher.
Yeehaw! Oh.
That was
I thought we were gonna rock out.
That was the theme song of every sister fucker out there in the world. But anyways, I didn't recognize it.
I mean,
it wasn't the banjo name.
Every sister fuck. I mean, at one point I fucked a sister.
Okay, their own sisters, not other people's sisters. Anyways, it's like when you decide to say in all capital letters, never again. Never again what? Like, never again will you comment? Because that would be a blessing. Oh, man. I never... I don't know why they think typing in all capital letters somehow makes what they're saying more inspirational or more true or some nonsense like that. I don't know. Oh, God, Liz. I guarantee you guys, Ashlyn has watched me sleep before.
Anyways, someone asked where the Discord was. It's in the description of the chat or of the live on YouTube. Whoever asked, and also if you have an iPhone and you're having an issue, because I do have it set to 18+. I'm very sorry. I don't care how many people have issues getting in. I have a hard standard of we don't talk to minors. I don't talk to children on the internet. I work with them and I try not to talk with them. Anyways. By the way. But yeah, so you just go into your settings on the iPhone.
It's Later Than You Think says, you don't get to find out how valid my point is yet. It's Later Than You Think, you've never said a valid goddamn thing in this entire time you've been commenting. I know Jesus very well, and I know... Here, let me get the... Wait a minute. Let me get the right voice for this.
I know Jesus very well, and I know no one in the world would want your future.
Guys, look, what do we always say? Like, it blows my fucking mind every single time. I don't think you guys understand, Christians in the comment section, threats of hell will never, ever work for converting people. If anything, you saying stupid shit like that makes me less of a Christian than I was 5 seconds ago. Like, you are doing a disservice. If Jesus ends up actually being real and actually being the Messiah, he's going to be so fucking disappointed in you on the day of judgment.
I just want to tell them, you're going to Jahannam. Just FYI, I just want to let you know. You should be scared of the God of Islam. You are going to Jahannam. Repent now. Follow Prophet Muhammad.
Ugh, it sounds gross even when you say it. D4 says, yeah, because we're not falling for the hell manipulation. Right, I don't you can't manipulate me. Very few people in the world are able to manipulate me, and only under very certain circumstances. But Christians, you ain't got a chance in hell. What, Ashlyn?
Pun intended. Pun intended.
Oh yeah.
You don't have a chance in hell, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
By the way,
No.
you ever hear the phrase it'll be a cold day in hell, or when hell freezes over? According to ancient, like medieval beliefs about hell, the very center of hell is the coldest, and it's actually all ice. If you read Dante's Inferno, when Dante gets to the I think it's the 9th level of hell, or is it 7th? The 7 circles. He gets to the very center circle of hell, where Satan is located, and it's like all frozen. So when hell freezes over, well, I guess it's already done. So whatever.
Yeah, but it's the 9th circle.
Oh, okay. I'm glad I'm not making shit up. Only certain situations. Yeah, I mean, like, the people who are able to manipulate me the most are beautiful women. I am easily
Yeah, it's the icy lake called Cocytus. I'm purposely misreading that, just because I like the way that sounds.
Cocytus. Wait a minute. What is the layer that Satan...
Cocytus. It's the icy lake, not the layer.
Yeah, it's what's it called? I don't know. Cocytus. I don't know what that is. Why is it called Cocytus? We're about to all learn something new here.
No. It's Cocytus. Cocytus. I don't know.
From the Greek kokitos, which means lamentation. There you go. It's the circle of lamentation. What? Yeah. Being Christian because of you fear hell. Yeah, being Christian because you fear hell is a wild reason to be Christian. If the only thing you've got to push your Christianity forward is threats of hell, that tells the rest of us that you don't have any good valid points for why you believe what you believe other than fear. Switzerland?
Yeah, like I knew I had men in my life when I was younger, and I fell for this stuff. And then as I got older, I realized wow, these men were abusive. God is one of those men, apparently. Where he's like, if you don't obey me and do what I say, there are consequences. It's like that's not a loving relationship.
Listen, if heaven is filled with people like the Christians that we have on this live, and hell is filled like the atheists who come on my live, then I'd much rather be in hell.
Besides, I want to be able to peg in heaven, and I don't think that's allowed.
Yeah, and I want to be pegged in heaven, and I don't think that's allowed. I thought Christianity wasn't about fear, but faith and perseverance, right? Perfect love casteth out fear, according to the New Testament. And yet, fear is the number one mechanism used by Christians in order to push their cult-like beliefs. Wild. Ad baculum. More double entendres, Ashland. When the missionaries made it into the more Arctic areas like Alaska, native asked how to get to hell because it sounded so warm. Oddly, in that region, hell is depicted as tundra. In Norse mythology, hell is a tundra. So we get our English word hell from Norse mythology. Norse mythology, the afterlife, the part you don't want to go to in the afterlife, is called Hel, Hel, or in longer term, Helheim. And it is a place of ice and cold, and it's the place where you go if you didn't die a glorious battle or if you died of old age.
I just have to play this trigger warning for anybody, but
No. You're gonna get me demonetized.
It was like 2 seconds of a song. That's not gonna demonetize you.
I'm terrified of demonetization. It's my worst fear. That's the only thing you can actually threaten me with, Christians, is demonetization. That's more scary than anything in hell.
Ichthyist reminded me of the song, and I felt compelled.
I feel compelled. It's later than you think. Sorry to tell you, but the earth is not flat and demons aren't real. Ain't that the truth? One of the greatest parts about not believing in the supernatural anymore is that when I walk around in my house and I'm alone, I don't have a fear that there are dark entities actually watching me anymore. Like, I'm alone in my house, and I actually am alone in my house. It's a wonderful feeling. None of that prehistoric nonsense. Hey, on the flip side, the 3 big guys aren't in hell, so we would have a good time there. Smittler, Dahmer, and Epstein. If they're all Christians, then yeah, they're in heaven, right?
I actually found out that Schmittler might not have been an actual Christian because it was full of Jewish beliefs, and yeah, he didn't. Yeah, well, we know how he felt.
Martin Luther didn't like the Jews either, but he was also very Christian. Not Martin Luther King. Martin Luther, different guy.
Yeah, there's just like that's one of the reasons, and I guess in his private, he didn't. But this is just contested, I guess, in some of the scholarship. Like outwardly, he definitely did, but. Yeah. Someone said a psychopath like one of us. Yeah.
I love this.
That's a spot on.
I love this comment actually. That's how you know you're an atheist. You walk around in your house in the dark and only worry about walking into a door. Ain't that the truth? Ain't that the truth? I've never once worried about demons ever since I've been a Christian. Like I can when I was a Christian, I would watch stuff like Paranormal Activity or like The Exorcism of Emily Rose. Those movies terrified me because I thought these were real dangers. But now as an atheist, I watch this stuff and it's just like mythic fun, I suppose. Did Jesus wear Christian?
Oh, so you do actually kind of then understand like what watching some horror movies where like women get attacked or like for women, they felt really real.
Wait, what?
Slightly understand. I don't. Like women, we get attacked by men. Like that's actually real. That happens all the time. Therefore, it's actually scary to us.
Oh yeah, sure. But demons not.
Yeah. I don't understand people. Like I don't understand. I've never thought demons were real. Like ever, not once in my entire life. So it's always amazing when people even when I was younger and a Christian, it's.
Listen to this. This is funny. It's later than you think says, of course you don't worry about demons because you are infested with demons. Oh my god.
I mean, I'm a little demon sometimes.
I got
dude, where are my demon?
This is the demon that spends all their time infesting me. Wait. That doesn't. You guys know what I mean.
Dalton, they're gonna start to think things that they probably already think anyways.
Yeah, so what's the point? Shall I lure shall I lure Darth in here? I mean, no one is calling. Darth wouldn't be able to talk. I've never once heard Darth debate the Bible because as soon as I bring up a good point, he's just gonna ask some stupid question like, "Well, how do you know what you know?" or some bullshit like that. Oh, some people have to
Gary.
Gary, yeah, Gare Bear. We don't call him Darth around here. Some people have to learn the really, really, really hard way. Yeah, well, it's sad because I don't think you'll ever learn. It's later than you think because sadly, when you die, you will cease to exist and you won't learn that you were wrong and you were just an asshole your whole life for no reason.
Oh, it's later than you think. I learned the really, really hard way all the time.
What is this? What is this show?
I don't know. As soon as I came on. Why did this go sideways?
Also, in the comment section, Eric Mickelson makes a good point. If I'm infested with demons, why don't I get any cool demon powers? It's later than you think. Why can't I make shit float around me? All right, why can't I talk in get my eyes all blackened out and talk in like a double voice like a demon? By the way, the voice maybe it's later than you think. Doesn't realize, but the voice changer is not demons. It's really just me using a attack technology. So. But you know, they are terrified of technology. They think everything's from the devil. So you know, it is what it is. Oh no, Fern Love Bond says, "I want Ashlyn to teach me the hard way." Sinfully wet for Ashlyn.
It's actually soaking wet. Fern made a whole sticker on the Discord. It's actually really awesome.
Do I need to add that? Do I need to make that a sticker for the people?
Yes. I thought I sent it to you.
Oh no, you didn't send it to me, but just do so. Also, why isn't it later than not calling up? Oh, because they're a coward. Because all they got is threats, and they don't actually have any good points for their religion, or else they would have came up a long time ago. Mop, please. I don't just think hell is real. I guarantee you will be there. As long as you're not there, I'm fine.
Okay, listen. I've had so many companies guarantee me things. I'm not sure that I trust guarantees anymore. Like guaranteed money back.
By the way, it's later than you think. I hope you know that every time you comment something, you're actually making my TikTok videos get pushed out further to more people, and thus spreading my information out there more and more so. So personally, from the bottom of my heart, thank you for all your bullshit comments, because it's doing a lot of service for the Bible Guy channel. I thought it was possible to move things with your mind as a Christian. Then I learned some physics and biology. I mean, that's what the Bible says. If you have even a modicum of faith, you can say to this mountain, you know, be thrown into the sea, and it will happen. So never seen that happen, but you know. Hey Dalton, want to scare ILTYT? Force panel him. Force panel them up. They won't accept. And also, I for some reason I'm not able to do that on the PC. Oh wait, can I? Oh, I just figured out how to. Now I can make people mods, because I just figured out how to work that. Holy hell! Who was it?
I sent a request, by the way, just to see.
Yeah, to see if they gird their loins. Who was it that we wanted to make a mod? It was a couple weeks ago.
You still didn't do that?
No, because I can't. I couldn't figure it out. Now, no more bullshit, please. I'll make you a mod. For all the people who want to be mods, remember this. That the rule for being a moderator is the only things that people will get like banned for are using slurs. That's the only thing I'm willing to ban them for. And the things that they will get muted for is by spamming the same thing over and over again, or continuously keeping to write in all capital letters. So remember that those are the rules for being a moderator. Otherwise, just let them run their dumb mouths in the comment section, you know. Oh yes, redhead, of course. Liz, why didn't I think of that? Of course you need to be a moderator. There you go. See, I'm glad that I just now I figured that out just now, because I was trying to. Also, by the way, guys, look, it's later than you think didn't come up because coward. Anyways, I accidentally clicked on it's later than you think's name instead of the 3 little dots, and apparently that's what allows you to do all these things. It's later than you think says, but there's no laughing like you think. Enjoy reaping what you have sown. Whatever, bud. I don't care. Like, that's all they got. That's all they've got. Threats. Nothing more. I just violated all the rules. Don't do that. Don't do that, Liz. So I kind of helped you find the mod button. You did kind of help me find the mod button. So thank you for that. I don't know why I couldn't figure that out. I thought that the option was going to be somewhere in the 3 dots, but you know, here, let me, more bullshit from It's Later Than
I accepted one time and was was destroying him, but of course he muted me because I was destroying.
What utter and complete bullshit. You probably got absolutely wrecked. And if anyone can find the video where I absolutely dominated It's Later Than You Think, let me know message me, let me know which video it was so I can post it to TikTok later, because this coward
I
deserves
don't it's not since I've been taking the Excel sheet. It's not since I've been like writing down, I don't think. I don't have it up right now. But like I don't remember them. I think I would remember if someone like had good arguments. There are a few people. I remember Cairo from the other night. Like they were well informed. I don't think their arguments won out, but like if anyone, like I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Must have been a long time ago. So if anyone can find it, let me know so I can clip that shit and post it on TikTok and YouTube. Only cowards throw threats and run at the slightest amount of pushback. Yep. Precisely. I don't have high hopes for this individual. Do a restart. We've only got 30 minutes left, but I suppose I'll do a restart on YouTube, on TikTok, and hopefully within the next 30 minutes we can get some opposition in here. So let's see about that. All right, ended the live and going live now. Boom! Look at that. See, you guys over on the TikTok on the YouTube get to see all the behind the scenes stuff. When I die and there's no hell, how do I collect my money? Right? How do I collect my money? No more bullshit, please. Says first. Indeed, you were first. You're always first. Right on the money. Howdy, partner.
Dude, Elias just scared the crap out of me. I hate when he does that.
Get him, Elias.
Well, I'm wearing headphones, so he'll like knock on my door, but I don't hear it, and then he'll open the door and like do something loud, and then I turn around. I know that it's him, but I still get scared.
No, what's really funny is that when I used to do TikTok on my phone, and I would have the whole room dark except for I would have this light over here on, and it would be shining in my face, so I couldn't see anything other than the phone, and I couldn't hear anything because I would have headphones on, and so I would just be sitting there talking on YouTube, and suddenly a face emerges from the darkness. It's my sister, and it makes me scares the shit out of me because like she just appears like a ghost. It's so funny. I wish you had hundreds of listeners. Me the fuck too. So if you want me to have hundreds of listeners, send out the live. Listen, it's just Justin is on right now, and also Atheist Experience or The Line is on right now, so that's why it's we're not getting a lot of guests right now. That and the Christians are just being too much of a coward. It's always the quiet ones. It's always the quiet ones that scare the shit out of you. They weren't, but my sister wasn't being quiet. I had headphones on, so that's totally on me. All right, we got a guest. We got GA here on TikTok. GA, I'm going to ask you 4 preliminary questions, and then we can move forward with the conversation. Question number 1, are you at least 18 years old?
Uh-huh.
Question number 2, are you a Bible believer?
Mm-hmm.
Question number 3, how much of the Bible have you read?
I'd say I think I finished the Gospels. I've read quite a lot of Psalms. That's one of my favorite books in the Bible. And then I've read a decent bit of Proverbs. I've read pretty much all of Genesis.
Okie
and then
dokie.
a
And
couple
then
of other verses from different other books.
question number 4, what pronouns do you prefer to go by?
He, him.
All right. All right. GA, he, him. I'm Dalton, the Bible guy. Which one of the 6 topics on the board did you wish to discuss with me?
We'll go. Well, I think 1, 2, 3, and 4.
Pick one.
And 6 are kind of interlinked, but
Well-
let's go for let's cover 3 and 4.
All right. Which one do you want to talk about first, 3 or 4?
We'll go 4 because it's a more it's got more to discuss.
All right. Why do you think Jesus was God?
So any Christian that comes to you and tells you that they believe that Jesus is God can only use one piece of evidence to suggest that they believe it, which is the Bible and everything historical surrounding the Bible.
All right.
And
what in the Bible leads you to believe that Jesus was the God of Israel?
The God of Israel. Well, I don't live in Israel, and I believe that Jesus is the
Yahweh.
God of me and every other human who lives.
Yeah, well, that's the God of Israel, Yahweh. That's what I'm referring to.
Okay, so I get that. So what makes me believe that Jesus is the true God? So number one, I've studied the atheist belief and the belief of there being a God. In terms of
Even if I
what do you call it?
Here, bud, let me help you here. But even if I wasn't an atheist and I believed in a God, still wouldn't believe Jesus was God. So what in the Bible leads you to believe that Jesus was God?
Because I think it's very clear that he claimed to be God.
Where?
Multiple times throughout the Gospels.
All right, pick one. Pick a Bible verse. Book, chapter, verse.
Which one should we go with? I think the biggest one that comes to my head quick is probably when Thomas said to Jesus, he said, "My Lord and my God," and Jesus didn't correct him. And also, there's verses in the Bible where people worship Jesus, and it's very descriptive of Jesus being worshipped.
Well, let's go with that first
And
one.
if Jesus,
Let's talk about that first one about Thomas. Let me give you an example of something. I will ask you just to see where your mind is at. You understand that, for example, in the Old Testament, that, for example, when the Ark of the Covenant, Yahweh would manifest above the Ark of the Covenant, right?
mm-hmm.
And wherever the Ark of the Covenant went, God was there, correct?
Uh-huh.
If someone pointed to the Ark of the Covenant and said, "There is God," would that be incorrect?
I'm not entirely sure on that one.
Well, it wouldn't be wrong because the Ark of the Covenant manifested Yahweh. Now, we read in the book of Acts that wherever Jesus went, God went because God was with Jesus. Jesus manifested God because he's the one who bears the divine name and therefore is able to manifest God in the same way the Ark of the Covenant is able to manifest God. If someone could point to the Ark of the Covenant and goes, "There is Yahweh," and they ran away. They ran away. Anyways, I'll continue.
What?
I'll continue that piece of thought.
They just said Niagara.
If someone points to the Ark of the Covenant and says, "There is Yahweh," they wouldn't be wrong, even though the Ark of the Covenant itself is not Yahweh. Jesus is said in the New Testament to be the one who manifests God, which is why the book of Acts specifically says that wherever Jesus went, God was, because God was with him. Let me see. Let me find this exact passage.
The covenant one or
Acts-
Jesus being
Acts 10, verse 38. This is what it says about Jesus. It says here, how God anointed Jesus of Nazareth with the Holy Spirit and with power, how he went about doing good and healing all who were oppressed by the devil, for God was with him. Specifically, God was with Jesus. And as a result, Jesus was the one who was manifesting the presence of Yahweh in the same way that the Ark of the Covenant was able to manifest the presence of Yahweh. So just as one could point to the Ark of the Covenant and say, there is God, there is the Lord, they could point to Jesus as the one who's manifesting God and say, my Lord and my God, because God is manifested through Jesus. Not that Jesus is himself Yahweh, no more than the Ark of the Covenant was itself Yahweh. So, was that
Also,
lady?
I just want to say really quick, Dalton's at 3.96K subscribers on YouTube. If you're not following on YouTube, what are you doing? Let's hit that 4K subscriber mark. Make sure you're liking the YouTube live. Hit that thumbs up. I hope y'all didn't just hear my stomach growl. Anyways, and tap the live. Follow him on TikTok as well. I think you're super close to 10K. Yep, he's super close to 10K on here. So y'all should be doing those things.
All right. 12. I'm going to ask you some preliminary questions before we can move forward with the conversation. Question number 1, are you at least 18 years old?
Yeah.
Question number 2, are you a Bible believer?
Partially, yeah.
Question number 3, how much of the Bible have you read?
I've read like I don't know, how should I say like the amount? How do I the percentage wise? Should I say like that?
Yeah, roughly.
I've like 25% to like 40.
All right. And then final question, what pronouns do you prefer to go by?
Just the like male ones really.
There are lots of
I
male
don't really
pronouns.
everything but like she, her, stuff like that.
Here's an example of some male pronouns: he, him, they, them, and she.
Yeah,
her.
that's fine. Yeah, that's fine.
Which
Yeah,
one? Which one of those 3? He, him. Okay. 12. He, him. I'm
He, him,
Dalton.
yeah.
I'm Dalton, the Bible guy. Which one of the 6 points on the board did you want to discuss with me?
I've got a question about 1, 3, and 4.
Well, just pick one.
The first one. What's your reason for not being inspired?
The Bible's not inspired by God because of the fact that it contains scientific and historical errors. It contains contradictions and unfulfilled prophecies.
Fair enough. I usually think of the Bible as like a historical book. If you get what I mean. Like, of course, you've got like the Doomsday Book from the British Times and stuff. Like, I usually think of it as like a historical book that like could state possible evidence of what happened. Like, but in those times, do you believe in that kind of stuff?
No, I don't think for example, I don't think the Gospels are historical. At least they contradict the historical data that we do have. They can't even agree with each other on like when Jesus was born or when he died or anything like that.
Mm-hmm. All right, that was just a question to see like what made you believe in that stuff. Like, if you follow my idea and stuff. Also, I was gonna say, what's like your evidence for Jesus not rising from the dead?
That no one's presented me with any good reason to think that he has.
Fair enough. I see why. That's just lack of evidence, pretty much.
Yeah,
just lacking like evidence.
Yeah,
Have you ever seen anybody rise from the dead?
Of course not, because I wasn't alive back then. But like,
No, like ever.
well, of course not. That's like why people call him God, of course, because no other human would physically rise from the dead if he was God.
I mean, there are other claims in history where people rose from the dead, but you don't believe those, do you?
Well, I don't think anyone has rose from the dead.
Aristeas,
times especially.
Aristeas, Romulus.
These are. I don't know. I'm just like I was just raised in a Christian family, so I just go along with like what I believe. I'm a believer, but not fully committed. You know, if you get what I mean. Yeah, but like also what else can I say? I was gonna say like God is described as what was it again? 3 ways: it's the Spirit, the Son, the Spirit, and the Father. Right?
No, the Bible never describes Jesus the Son as being God.
What about the Trinity?
The Trinity is not a biblical idea. It's something that arose by Christians after the Bible was already written.
The Trinity doesn't even make sense, like
Nah,
excluding the
if you think
Bible.
about it, it does kind of make sense because, like, in what's it called, the Christian views and stuff was like the Trinity is that the God the Father came down to earth as a son, which was Jesus,
No,
and the Holy Spirit is just like
that's not the Trinity.
That's not what. Yeah. Yeah, and I always thought the Trinity made more sense when you don't think about it.
Yeah, and the Trinitarian theology doesn't teach that the Father came down and became the Son. That is considered a heresy within Christianity. The idea within the Trinity is that there are three persons who are co-equal and co-eternal: the Father and the Son and the Holy Spirit. Each of these three persons are all the one God, and the Son came down and became incarnate, and that was Jesus. But the Father remained incorporeal in heaven. That's the basics of the Trinity.
because what's good. I always thought personally is the way like God is represented in three ways: Spirit, the Son, the Father, and the way he like can transition, like they all equal into each other. If you like, for example, I've seen a picture before. It's like the triangle, of course, with the three words: God, the Holy Spirit, the Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit, and they had all have like arrows pointing back and forth of each other to show that they're all connected together. So that's what I really believed in.
Yeah, well, the thing is, it's not a biblical. It's not something found in the Bible. That's a post-biblical philosophical innovation. The Bible doesn't portray Jesus as being God, and he doesn't portray him as being equal with God. In fact, the Bible is very explicit about the fact that the Father is greater than the Son, that the Son is the firstborn of all creation, not that he's eternal, I think other things such as thus.
That's most of my three questions. I just like seeing atheist views on Christianity. Like it really like what's it called? It helps me understand more, I guess, and see the different points each atheist have, I guess.
You should try atheism then.
Nah,
Just try it out.
I don't do that. I don't want to do that because like
why not?
Some atheists are like they're chill to Christianity, like Christianity and Christians, and they don't do anything. But some atheists are just like they are bored, so they just want to hate on them and like just do anything to.
Well, we don't hate on Christians, but Christianity.
I'm not saying you do. I'm not saying you do. You guys just like.
But Christianity as a religion does deserve hatred because of the fact that Christianity has resulted in, for example, for the longest time in this country, same-sex couples couldn't even get married, and that was entirely because of these religious reasons. Religion is used in this country, where I live, at least in America. I don't know how it works in England, but in America, Christianity is used repeatedly to harm minority groups.
Yeah, I see. What should I? Why don't you like also talk about other religions as well, but just Christianity? I mean,
I talk about
lots of
Judaism.
people argue from.
I talk about Judaism as well, and occasionally I talk about how Islam is a pedophile religion. So I talk about the Abrahamic religions. But here's the thing, I talk about any particular religion to the extent that I know things about it, because unlike
fair enough.
Unlike the a lot of the Christians who call in on my show, I will not talk about things that I do not know anything about. So, I talk about Christianity the most because it's the one that I have the most expertise in. I will also talk about Judaism because I have almost as much expertise in that as I do Christianity. And when it comes to Islam, I don't talk about all that much, but when I do talk about it, I bring up the fact that it's a religion that generally has a lot of pedophilia involved with it.
Yeah, I don't like. I've seen so many like people on TikTok that are like part of Islam argue against the fact that like I'll just give an example like about Aisha, if you know about the story of her. Like, how they always try to defend the fact that she's not like 9 and stuff.
In the comment section, can we get some justice for Aisha stickers? Yeah, we talk about Aisha a lot. Yeah, child. But anyways,
I don't. What's it called?
I mean, we're just not gonna have a Christian come on here and hate on a religion if you can't equally say that the things in your book aren't any better. I mean, your God does some awful things, especially towards women. Your God doesn't like women at all. He's like the OG incel.
I'm not hating though.
No, you're not, but your God does.
Oh, I thought she I was getting pointed out as being a hater right now, but
No.
nah, I was just saying.
No, the
just
God
saying
you
that.
worship is the God you worship. Repeatedly places women on a lower in the hierarchy compared to men.
Yeah, like, have you read your 10th commandment? Like, I know Christians a lot of times they'll be like, the 10 commandments.
I'm not like a deep Christian. I'm like, since I was raised in it, I guess I'm just raised as a believer, and I used to be atheist when I was younger, but then I just slowly like opens up, and right now I'm just sitting like 50-50, I guess.
So
Yeah, but the point that I'm driving is that you don't seem to care that I even said any of those things. Like, you're like, I'm still 50-50, even though it says horrible things about women. You didn't try to contest it and be like, no, it doesn't.
I just like, I'm not 100% study. I mean, if I study the Bible, I guess if you gave me a month and I would study it from my blood, sweat, and tears into acknowledging all of these stuff, and I could probably have a proper conversation and like actually agree. I'm just here to listen, Brie, about your view and stuff.
So 12.
Do you care if it's true? If that's true, if God is like horrible to women, would that deter you from Christianity?
Well, I'd have to see, I guess, first and find it myself.
No.
I'd have to find it myself.
If it is true, if the term "if" was used, I'm not saying it is, even though it is, but in this statement, if it is true, would it deter you from Christianity?
Possibly. I don't know. Unless
it's
I
not. That's just possibly.
I don't know, because I'd have to find out if it's actually true myself.
But hypothetically, in this hypothetical Ashton's putting forward, let's say hypothetically the Bible absolutely does speak negatively about women. If it actually does, what would be your response?
Probably to like be less of a believer, and probably just slowly. If it's like that, then maybe you move away slowly.
All right.
Move away slowly.
I'd also have to see more, of course, and see other Christian views on this and their answers. If their answers, of course, are what's it called, that, oh yeah, God is that, then I'd probably just move away.
Here, I got a Bible verse up here. It's from the 10 Commandments. It's the 10th commandment. This is, you shall not covet your neighbor's house. You shall not covet your neighbor's wife, male or female slave, ox, donkey, or anything that belongs to your neighbor. So, my question for you is, I'm gonna bring up the board here. What do these things have in common? I'm gonna give you a list of things first. Okay, number one. Number one, we got house. Number two, we got slaves. And number three, we got livestock. So, you know, your cattle and your sheep and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
What do these three things have in common?
I guess all owned.
They're owned. They're your property, correct?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And when we read the 10th commandment off, it didn't just name off your house and your slaves and your livestock. In this list of things that are your property as a man, it also included your wife as property.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that's see, it says here that you shall not covet your neighbor's house? No, you shall covet your neighbor's wife, male or female slave, ox, donkey, or anything that belongs to your neighbor. Do you think that positioning women as the object which is owned is a good thing?
Of course it's a bad thing. Well, yeah, of course it's a bad thing. But we'd have to also, of course, history dedicates back then where women were like also in a bad position.
Well,
so that's also like kind of
where did this command come from?
This is God's law.
I know, just saying.
Yeah, like he said like idolatry like was really common back then, like idol worshiping, and that was like his first one. Actually, it's the second one. Right? Is idolatry first or second?
Well, it's kind of iffy on how you count it.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, even like his in if you go further up in that, like God's like, I am so mad about idol worship and putting other gods before me that I will punish not just your children, not your children's children, but your children's children's children. Like he says, I am a jealous God, punishing children for the inequity of parents to the third and fourth generation of those who reject me. That's Exodus 24 and 5. That's in the same chapter that this verse is in Exodus 17, where he says, "Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's house, wife, male or female slave, ox, donkey, anything belonging to him." So he can do something during this time period in which was practiced all the time, but he can't say, "Yo, women shouldn't be property." In fact, he says women are property. In other words, indirectly. So why can't he do one and not the other? I've never understood this.
Well, I was gonna say, doesn't the Bible talk about in marriage? They say your rib cage, like something to do with rib cages becoming one.
Well, the marriage in the Bible isn't really.
Yeah,
I'm just saying that because like the way property here, and then marriage is like linked as a soul. So
what you're thinking of is in Genesis chapter 2, where it says that that God made a woman for Adam from his side, and then it says that they are to become one. But if you read one chapter later, what do we see? We see in Genesis chapter 3. I'm gonna pull it up again. Here we go. This is one chapter after that. It says at the end, after the woman, sins, it says here, Genesis 3 verse 16, to the woman he said, I will make your pangs in childbirth exceedingly great. In pain you shall bring forth children, yet your desire shall be for your husband, and he shall rule over you. It says that the role of a woman is to be ruled over by her man.
It's almost like they made the word for husband ball like masters. That would be weird, wouldn't it?
Someone in the comments said a husband is a woman's property if they take responsibility for them. That's like
it's still
kind of a good point.
It's still wrong.
Yeah, but people could argue different.
Ashlyn, how would you feel about that excuse as a woman? Do you think that you should be considered a man's property if it means he takes care of you, or should there be a mutual taking care of and no one should be known?
It's weird because I do recall that in antebellum slavery, the slave masters also took care of the slaves.
So should we allow for slaves then? Is slavery okay as long as the slave takes care of the slave? A slave owner takes care of the slave. Is slavery okay then, 12?
They fed them, right?
No,
they gave them a place
that's
to
different.
live.
With slavery, you actually have a role. You have a proper role that like you're intent to make them work non-stop. Even if you treat them good, the only desire for them is to work for you.
And
I don't think.
What do you think wives were used for in biblical times? They were used, one, to take care of the home, to make food for the husband, and to bear children, which I would say literally labor is the most laborious of things that a person can do.
Yeah, what do you think that like women do? Like we do, even nowadays we still do like vast majority of domestic labor. Do you think that was any different back then?
Probably.
You think men were doing the dishes back in biblical times?
I don't know, I wasn't there.
That's not how things worked in biblical times. In biblical times, men had a particular role and women had a particular role, and never shall the twain meet.
Everyone had a role back then, though.
Yeah, and guess what? And guess what? We don't take our moral lessons on what should be from Iron Age Israelite people.
But we don't. Christians seem to want to. Yeah, I think that casting women as property is wrong, and I don't do that.
Yeah,
weird how easy that was for me.
Your partner, whether that's your husband or your wife, should never be subordinate to you in the relationship. They should be equal partners with you. And no one has any particular, you can choose in your own marriage what role each of you want to play, like who does the dishes, if you both do the dishes, or only if one person does the dishes. That's up to each individual like marriage coupling or throupling. But the perception that the Bible presents for marriage is not a healthy one. It's Stockholm syndrome at best in some instances.
So I just zoned out. I'm reading comments. Sorry.
Stop reading the comments. You're having a conversation with me.
What did you say again?
I mean, you can have a conversation with the comments if you want. You can read them all you want in the comments, but while you're up here, we would appreciate if you like.
Yeah. I just zoned out. It was getting intense, so I just like zoned out.
I mean, yeah. I mean, wait until you read Judges 19. Ooh. Wait until you read about God forcing cannibalism. Let's see. God allows for slavery. In fact, after the 10 Commandments, the chapter right after, God doesn't waste any time. He's like, by the way, this is how you can own people.
Oh.
He's pretty chill with that.
Charity Queen in the comment section. Wow, y'all, LOL, y'all are hanging on by a thread. Always with the threats. Charity, I'm sorry that I, as a man, don't think that you, as a woman, deserve to be the property of your husband. But anyways, 12.
Dalton, we just lectured the guest for reading the comments.
Well, he was gone. But now he's back. So now that you're back, 12, do you think that these are good, like a good like moral like thing that we should be doing, that women should be categorized as property?
Well, of course not, but like it all depends as well, because like I don't have to say anything, but like in my view right now, it's just
what does it depend on?
Times. That's what I'm thinking. It's just historical different like ages.
But it's God.
So you don't think God is all good?
Yeah, if it's God, yeah, but like
God's only sometimes good.
God here.
God has moral relativism.
Then, he had a different view on the world back then.
Well, that's a problem. That's a huge problem, bud. Because what does the Book of Numbers say about God? It says God is not a human being that he should lie, or a mortal that he should change his mind. Does God change his mind, or does he not change his mind?
Not change his mind, I guess. Of course, if he says it here.
All right. Well, then, if God was a misogynist in the Iron Age, then that would mean he's a misogynist now, and he's no better. Or was it just that God was too much of a pussy, and he had to like bend the knee to like the Israelites? Like the Israelites were like, we want to keep women as property, and Yahweh was like, wasn't like able to gird his loins long enough to like say to the Israelites, no, this is how you're supposed to do things. Like, why does he bend the knee to the culture?
Wait, is this from the Bible?
Yes.
Oh wait, what is this? Like chapter and stuff?
Numbers 23 verse 19, where it says that God cannot change his mind.
Let me just try. Because I think I've got a Bible near me. I just want to read other part as well. No, I don't. I think it's somewhere else.
It's on the screen.
I know, but I want to see the whole what's it called? The part in the Bible itself. I want to like read the other pages next to it as well.
Why?
Because like this is interesting, so I want to read it like later.
Why do you think?
Yeah, you could. Yeah, like that's fine. We want you to read the text, but like pertaining to this conversation, we can't just sit every time you don't know a verse and like have you read the whole thing, because that would take forever.
It's my first time read. This is my first time like wanting to read it. I just want to have it for later, so I can read it later.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, please read your Bible. That the road to atheism is paved with well-read Bibles. Absolutely paved. Genesis, I mean, you could just start in Genesis and read through that. The fact that you read through Genesis and you were like, the first story, you're like, some kids murdered, then there was some children sleeping with their women, getting their father drunk, incest. Like there's so much stuff. You got through Genesis and we're like, yeah, bro, this checks out. That's entirely impressive. Like I got through, like I actually sat down as an adult, and actually I'm rather new to this. Dalton and I went through this together, and we read Genesis, and I had so many problems with the first 2 chapters of Genesis.
Someone told me to read Timothy. Wait, can you put the verse that someone said on the chat feed?
Oh, women must obey in submission, and they must stay silent in submission. Yeah, 1 Timothy 2.
Let a woman learn in silence with full submission. I do not permit a woman to teach or to have any authority over a man. She is to keep silent. For Adam was formed first, then Eve, and Adam was not created, or was not deceived, but the woman was deceived and became a transgressor. Yet she will be saved through childbearing, provided they continue in faith, in love, and holiness with self-control. You think that's pretty good?
You think we should be saved by popping out babies?
This is the Timothy one, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Because this is kind of like brutal.
No, wait until you read Deuteronomy 22.
And also the author is just wrong. Adam was also deceived. Eve gave him the fruit and he took it. He was deceived. Charity Queen says, who said this? Did God say this or did Paul? Well, I mean, either the Bible is the word of God or it's not. Yeah, pseudo Paul. Technically, it's not even really Paul.
I thought the Bible was like written by the humans, no?
Yeah, but the Bible also claims to be like inspired by God.
Yeah, it's inspired by God, but written by the humans.
So God inspired something which was false.
No, what I'm saying is that they're inspired by God, but they writ it themselves. So.
Oh, by the way, Deuteronomy chapter 20, verse 17 isn't just supposed to be inspired by God. It's Moses writing down exactly what God said. It's God speaking.
Alright. I need to see this one. I need to see this one as well, I guess.
We just read it.
Oh, this is it?
No, I mean...
that's
Exodus 20. Exodus 20, which is
17.
where we read the about how it names a woman as being part of the list of a thing that's owned by a man. This is God speaking.
Oh, that's the one. Oh.
Then God spoke all these words. This is God talking. God's the one who lumps a woman in with the rest of a man's property.
Oh. Wait, and is this the Old Testament?
Yeah, but Jesus upheld the Old Testament. Jesus said that whoever breaks the least of these commandments and teaches others to do so will be called least in the kingdom of heaven. Matthew chapter 5, verse 19.
I mean, that doesn't make it any better, like at all. Like it's still God.
Yeah, worse. God's a misogynist.
Yeah. Do you wanna pull up Deuteronomy 22:13?
Well, actually, I have another guest, so we're at the end of the show, so I'm gonna bring up the other guest. But 12, watch back, listen to what this was said, and think critically about what your Bible says and whether or not it's actually good. All right?
Yeah, I don't know. I might start getting into Christianity because right now I'm just a believer of like the basics, like basic arguments, like God who created God and stuff like that. That's like the only people I've debated in my life, and have the fact that they say their only claim is like, God isn't created, and that's literally it. That's like the only people I've spoken to.
I have a quick question for you, Believe. So I don't understand this. How do you believe something without justification for that belief? Because just because people around me believe something, to me, was never a good excuse to believe things. Because like that can excuse all sorts of really bad things. Racism is a good example of this. It sounds like you were just like, other people believe it, so therefore I do. And have like no further justification for this belief, no sort of evidence, no sort of understanding of what it is.
The reason for my belief is mostly like I'm not like a delve deeper into the Bible. My like biggest belief is the world, like creation of our lives and like the universe and stuff. That's the biggest reason I started believing and stuff. But like,
but you don't you were just like, someone said this guy did it, and you're like,
no.
yeah.
I actually like. What's it called? How to explain this? Like, I kind of thought it myself. I didn't follow anyone. I just thought of it myself because I used to be atheist when I was younger. I didn't have like any belief in God, anything. And then I just started like growing on me and stuff after seeing like
you don't have to be a Christian to believe in God. You can just be a deist and believe in a God, but not believe in all the Christian nonsense.
Well, I just chose Christianity, I guess. I mean, I prayed as well before.
You put them in a hat. picked it out? We're like, this one seems chill.
No. It's just like the reasoning. The reasoning
Here,
that
I
made
like-
the most sense.
I do need to move on to the next guest, but hey, 12, you're more than welcome to call in on another day. I'll be alive again on Wednesday.
Anyways, thank you for like all your evidence and like the talk.
Alright.
I was just curious about your guys' views and stuff. So yeah.
Have a good day.
You too.
Bye.
Okay, we're gonna bring up our last guest for the night, Cole, Triple H. Cole, I'm gonna ask you the same 4 preliminary questions I ask every one of my guests, irrespective of who they are. Question number 1, are you at least 18 years old?
Yes.
Question number 2, are you a Bible believer?
That's a kind of a loaded question.
Yeah, that's loaded with a yes or no. Are you a Bible believer? Like, do you believe that the content of the Bible comports to reality? That's all that question is loaded with. So, do you believe in the Bible or not?
I mean, I guess I would say yes for the sake of this. Yes.
All right. Question number 3, how much of the Bible have you read?
I would say 60% of it probably I've read.
All right. And final question, what pronouns do you prefer to go by?
He, him.
He, him. All right, Cole, he, him. I'm Dalton, the Bible guy. Which one of the topics on the board did you want to discuss with me?
Well, I wanted to first start on 5 and 6. I just had this is kind of semantics, so I mean, but to say the Bible is not anti-abortion, or to say the Bible is not a good source for morals. The Bible isn't univocal, so I mean, the Bible can't not be anti-abortion because different authors in the Bible could disagree on
Well,
plenty of things.
would you like to provide me with? I agree, the Bible's not univocal, but in this case, the Bible never says anything which is anti-abortion, unless you can provide me an example.
Well, no, like I would probably say they wouldn't have had a concept of abortion. So
They did.
I mean,
They had a concept of abortion. They talk about abortion in the Talmud.
yeah, but like, how long after the Old Testament was written was the Talmud written?
The Talmud was
Like,
written.
long-
Well, the Talmud
like,
was
at
written,
least-
was written down a couple hundred years after the New Testament was written, but the content of the Talmud, the oral traditions, go back to biblical times. These are talking about things that they were talking about during the 1st century CE. The Greeks and the Israelites, as living in the same time, would have understood what abortions were, because abortions were performed in the ancient world.
I mean, like, okay, you're talking about the New Testament. They might have had an idea of what because of like you're saying the time they lived in. I was more talking about like the Old Testament. I thought that's what you were getting at.
Not just the New Testament. Even if you're talking about at least as long as the Greeks have had an influence on the Jewish peoples, which has been at least since the time of Alexander the Great, the Jews have been aware of abortion, which would mean that during the books of the Old Testament, like 1st and 2nd Maccabees, they would have been aware of abortions.
I mean, I would be mostly talking about like the Old Testament, I guess.
That is the Old Testament.
I don't think they would have had a concept of it.
1st and 2nd Maccabees is the
yes.
Old Testament.
I mean, I don't. Like, I would agree with point 1 on this. I don't think the Bible is inspired, but that wouldn't. Most people wouldn't call that the scripture. I mean, I don't really care, but.
Humans.
I was more talking about like the main.
Let's see how long humans have been performing abortions for. Let's see. Humans have been performing abortions for thousands of years, well before the Common Era. So the Egyptians, we have the Ebers Papyrus, which contains gynecological recipes that modern historians interpret as abortifacient instructions. That's 1550 BCE. That's 500 years before King David was even around.
Well, maybe I'm wrong about that. I would have thought they wouldn't have had the concept of that. So
Yeah, we've known about abortions for a long time in humanity. The Israelites were aware of them, and the Bible never says anything negatively about abortions.
No, I mean that's true. Like it doesn't speak on that. My point though was just that to say the Bible is not anti-abortion is, like I said, the Bible doesn't have an opinion on anything.
Yeah,
That's what I was saying.
Yeah. As a result, as a result, it's not anti-abortion because it never says anything negatively about abortion. It never said it was pro-abortion. It's neutral. It's not anti-abortion. You can't use the Bible to argue against abortion.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree. And then the Bible is not a good source for morals. That I would also say is it depends on which authors we're talking about. I mean, I would say there's some Old Testament authors that I would agree with that with, and there's some New Testament authors I would disagree on that with. I mean, it just depends on which author we're talking about.
Are you a Christian?
I am a Christian. But I'm not a normal Christian.
Right. Most of the Christians I talk to, at least, believe that the Bible is the inspired word of God. That's why I have this up there, because most Christians believe that they should believe in everything in the Bible. If you're willing to accept that there are some horseshit instructions in the Bible and we shouldn't obey those, W to you for that. I agree. But at the end of the day, like, the Bible is maybe not univocal, but it is, like, from beginning to end, has no problem with slavery.
Yeah, I mean, it was written by ancient Israelites who would have had no issue with slavery.
Yep.
So
it looks like we're in agreement.
Fine in their culture. Yeah, I mean, my biggest thing was like just that, like it is kind of semantics, but to say this is more my thing. To say the Bible is not a good source for morals, you could say that was true, but I'm more saying it pushes this agenda of like this idea that the Bible is univocal.
Which most of my
small sense,
which most of my Christian audience believes. So that's why I push them against the idea that they should be deriving their morals from this book, because most of my audience, or Christians who call in, believe that, or at least they think they believe that the entire Bible is true and should be obeyed. So I demonstrate to them that they don't, and the Bible, if we take it as a whole, isn't a good source for morals. That's it.
And then I don't know if you know what fulfilled eschatology is. Do you know what that is?
What eschatology?
Fulfilled eschatology.
I'm not familiar with that phrase. No.
It's also called full preterism.
Oh yeah, we
70 AD.
we believe preterism is the biggest cope on the planet.
You never go full preterist.
Never go full preterist.
I am a full preterist.
Yeah, we think it's cope. And if you want to talk, I'm at the end of my show here. If you want to see why we think that preterism is horseshit, I suggest you check out my friend Justin from the Deconstruction Zone. He has an episode on Myth Vision talking about the problems with preterism, but it's just cope.
Yeah, I've watched Deconstruction Zone. I've seen that. I've seen what you're talking about. I was going to ask you on 4, Jesus was not God. How would you interpret Luke 6:46 then? That would be my last thing we can talk about if you got to go.
Luke 6, verse 46. Why do you call me Lord, Lord, and do not do what I tell you? Yeah, Lord is not necessarily a divine title. You know that King David was called Lord also.
Yeah, but the double vocative Lord Lord is it's used in the Old Testament, like it's how they translate Adonai Yahweh in the Septuagint.
Well, we don't have any
That's a title.
Yeah, in those instances, we can tell when Kyrios means Yahweh because we have like an original Hebrew to compare it to, but we don't have anything like that for the New Testament. We don't have any really good reason to believe that either of the instances of Kyrios here in Luke mean Yahweh, as opposed to just the type of title which would be used for like kings in ancient Israel, Adoni, my lord.
Yeah, but I mean, it would be one thing if it was just Adonai, but it's Adonai, or
It's
Kyrios in the Greek.
Kyrios. That doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean that they're referring to Yahweh.
But like I'm saying, in any like ancient like first century or earlier text in the Jewish culture in Greek, that always alludes to the Tetragrammaton. So I mean,
perhaps in the Septuagint, I'd have to double check, but that doesn't mean that that's how it's being used here in the Gospel of Luke. I would need to see something a little bit better in order to indicate that either of the Kyrios here refers to the Tetragrammaton, especially when the bulk of evidence seems to point away from any Trinitarian theology. One verse in favor of the Trinity would need to be like heavily substantiated.
well, I'm not even a Trinitarian, but like I said, we do not find a text in Greek, a Jewish text in Greek, that where Lord is talking about anything other than the Tetragrammaton.
Just because we never see it in the Septuagint doesn't mean that we wouldn't see it in the New Testament. Those are two different works by two different sets of authors. The Septuagint was translated by Jewish people. We don't even know who wrote the Gospel of Luke and whether or not they were Jewish.
Yeah, but like this is like Jesus and who he's talking to here would be Jewish. So I mean,
Well, I don't think that this is recording what Jesus actually said. I don't take the Gospels as being historically accurate recountings of what Jesus said and did. I have huge problems with the Gospels being historical.
yeah, but I mean, I get that, but this is even like attested more than once in the different Gospels.
I don't take the
that he
Gospels as
said
being.
this.
I don't care how many times it's reported in the Gospels. I don't take the Gospels as being historically accurate, just because they're all myths to me. No doesn't matter how many times the authors of the Gospels, Matthew and Luke, are copying what Mark says, and John is a riff off of Luke. So it doesn't matter how many times they get said. The Gospels are myth, in my opinion.
Yeah, that was all. I just was interested to see what you had to say about that. But I
right.
appreciate you hitting me up.
All right, have a good day.
You too.
His profile picture was inspiring philosophy.
I always thought curious meant like generally Lord or Master.
Yeah, the only way you can know whether or not Kyrios refers to Yahweh is if we have a corresponding Hebrew text that affirms it. Otherwise, we don't make those assumptions when reading the Greek of the New Testament. Now,
In Luke itself too, it uses curious as like over servants.
Yeah, if you read the Septuagint, David is called Lord or Kyrios in Greek. But anyways, let's see who we should send a raid over to. Is Justin still alive? Let's see. Let's see. Yeah, he is. All right. YouTube Punk. Go and put the link in for Justin over at Deconstruction Zone. Here, 1 second.
There is so much history that
Don't care about that.
That's why. Jack. I put the wrong thing. Jack.
Let's see. I'll give him a second. Justin is live. Okay, yeah, YouTube punk. Go ahead and send the link over there. While we're doing that, let's see. Greek word of the day. I suppose we'll do a Greek word of the day. While we're waiting for that, just to give you some instruction. Let's see. Yes, I know, alarm. I gotta go take the trash out. 1 second, everyone. Here we are. All right. So, iPad out. Going to teach you all a new Greek word for the day. It's a word that's been brought up in this today. Second. It is the Greek word for Lord, which is spelt kappa. No cap. Upsilon. Rho, iota, omicron, sigma, or Kyrios. Pronounce as a Y. Kyrios. Kyrios here means Lord. It's the word in the New Testament. You see every time you see the word Lord, it's the Greek word Kyrios. So there you go. New Greek word for the day that you guys get to learn. All right. It looks like did YouTube get the Yep. All right. Oh yeah, you put Dan McClellan's book in there too. Fantastic. Love to see that. Check out Dalton's Linktree. Fantastic. Love that. Raid times. All right, to everyone, tell Justin from the Deconstruction Zone that the Bible Guy sent you. And with that, I've been the Bible Guy. Remember, I want to keep reading, keep learning, and we'll see you all again Wednesday at 5 p.m. Central Standard Time. Bye.
Bye.
Born from dust and questioning fire, wielding truth like a sword of desire. Ancient scrolls and cosmic flame, he tears through myth, he breaks the chain. Echoes of prophets, the stars align, knowledge and thunder intertwine. Reason ascends where blind faith fell, he reads the word and he reads it well. The Bible Guy, seeker of the light, through time and fire he rides the night, with reason's blade and wisdom's cry. The world shall hear the Bible Guy. Scrolls of ages, words aflame, he dares to question